Chapter 1163. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled violently, and the light was dazzling. A mysterious bronze temple appeared in the void, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura. It was vast and unparalleled, as if it came from the nine heavens' divine world. It was terrifying beyond compare. Suppress. 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 At the same time, three ancient syllables rang out in the void, containing boundless power. Behind the monster saint, the Moon Mother, and the Buddha Lord, a bronze divine palace appeared, flowing with a mysterious light. The light was extremely bright. Every single bronze temple was suffused with boundless chaotic mist, and they contained extremely terrifying energy. Their auras intertwined with each other, and they seemed to have formed an extremely vast grand formation. The four bronze palaces instantly enveloped demon god King Bo Sun. Is the true purpose of the bronze temples to seal demon gods? A sharp light flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes, revealing an incomparably shocked expression. He had seen the bronze temples in the depths of the Eight Desolates region, primitive ancient mine, time cave, and other places. At that time, he felt that the bronze temples were extraordinary, and perhaps it was related to the Scarlet Dragon war god. Now that he saw the four great generals summon the four bronze temples, he understood. What? This is the demon-suppressing divine temple that bastard Scarlet Dragon left behind. How can you activate it with your strength? Demon god King Bo Sun's expression changed instantly, as if he was flustered and exasperated. There was even a trace of unconcealable fear in his eyes. 9 demon-suppressing divine temples to suppress the war god world. You want to kill your way into the war god world by every means possible. Besides wanting to obtain the wordless heavenly book, I'm afraid you also think that no one can activate the demon-suppressing divine temple. Unfortunately, the Scarlet Dragon war god had already expected this day, and left behind a backup plan. Bo Sun, prepare to die. Jin Sei's eyes revealed a trace of coldness as she said faintly, rumble. For bronze palaces floated in the void. Endless chaotic mist rose. Instantly, for chaotic colored chains containing terrifying power shot out from the palaces and wrapped around Bo Sun. Bo Sun's body trembled, and he prepared to escape without thinking. However, the four bronze temples intertwined with each other, sealing the void in all directions. Demon god King Bo Sun had no chance of escaping. Whoosh! The four primal chaos chains instantly pierced through demon god King Bo Sun's protective demonic light, and abruptly wrapped around him. Ah! I can't accept this. You want to seal this king with just 4 remnant souls? I want to see how long you can last. When this king escapes, all of you will die. All of you will die. A furious roar came from Bo Sun's mouth, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently. Beams of demonic light rose, but they were all suppressed by the 4 bronze temples. Demon god King Bo Sun's body was trapped in the 4 bronze temples, and he had no way of escaping. As for the Spirit Elder, Demon Saint, Moon Mother and Buddha Lord, the 4 great divine generals, their complexions were incomparably pale. Although they were able to activate the 4 demon-suppressing divine palaces, their strength was rapidly being consumed. Although the power of the demon-suppressing divine palaces was terrifying, it was impossible for them to completely annihilate demon god King Bo Sun. Ling Zhao, it's up to you now. The Spirit Elder's voice transmitted into Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness. At this moment, the Spirit Elder's body emitted an ancient and mysterious aura, instantly sealing the power of the 7 souls' scattered soul light. The wordless heavenly book turned into a stream of light, and instantly flew back into Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness. Senior, don't worry. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of sharpness, and he instantly leaped up, flying into the bronze temples. At this moment, demon god King Bo Sun was completely sealed by the demon-suppressing divine palaces. No matter if it was his physical body, divine power or primordial spirit, they were all sealed by the demon-suppressing divine palaces. At this moment, demon god King Bo Sun was at his weakest. Ling Zhao understood the Spirit Elder's meaning. He had to take advantage of this opportunity to kill demon god King Bo Sun in one fell swoop. Otherwise, there would be endless troubles in the future. Rumble. In the center of the 4 demon-suppressing divine palaces, endless primal chaos mist interweaved, like a world of primal chaos. Ling Zhao flew into it, and immediately saw Demon God King Bo Sun's body pierced by 4 chains. Although his body was slightly trembling, he seemed to have lost consciousness. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he directly sat cross-legged in the primal chaos mist. The wordless heavenly book wrapped his primordial spirit, and instantly rushed into Demon God King Bo Sun's sea of consciousness. It was a great taboo for the primordial spirit to rashly rush into another sea of consciousness, especially when one's cultivation was lower than the others. It was almost certain death. This was the first time Ling Xiao's primordial spirit had left his body, but this was also due to Demon God King Bo Sun being sealed by the demon-suppressing divine palaces. Furthermore, Ling Xiao had the protection of the wordless heavenly book. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to rush into Demon God King Bo Sun's sea of consciousness. Boom! The wordless heavenly book shone brightly. At this moment, Demon God King Bo Sun was powerless to stop Ling Xiao, and could only watch as Ling Xiao entered his sea of consciousness. Demon God King Bo Sun's sea of consciousness was like a world of darkness. It contained boundless demonic light, as if it was the origin of the demonic path. In the center of the sea of consciousness, there was a bright light spreading out. It was a strange crystal that contained boundless power, and at this moment, it was imprinted on the forehead of Demon God King Bo Sun's primordial spirit. That was the Godhead. The so-called Godhead was a crystal formed by a divine spirit realm expert who had obtained the recognition of the laws of the realm of gods. It contained the majority of the divine spirit realm expert's power. Just like Ling Xiao, he had reached the 3 gods realm, but he had yet to enter the realm of gods. Without the recognition of the laws of the realm of gods, he naturally couldn't condense the Godhead. After condensing the Godhead, the battle strength of a divine realm expert would increase by a terrifying amount. Rumble. At this moment, Demon God King Bo Sun's primordial spirit was also pierced through by 4 primal chaos chains, and was firmly bound. However, his consciousness was still clear. When he saw Ling Xiao, his eyes immediately revealed a ferocious killing intent. Wordless heavenly book? Ling Xiao, aren't you afraid that I will activate the 7 souls dispersing soul light and kill your little lover? Demon God King Bo Sun sneered. Previously, he had sensed that Ling Xiao's wordless heavenly book was suppressing the 7 souls dispersing soul light in Jin Sei's sea of consciousness. At this moment, when he saw Ling Xiao bring the wordless heavenly book into his sea of consciousness, he immediately felt that something was amiss. Bo Sun, you are still bluffing. You can't even protect yourself. So how can you activate the 7 souls dispersing soul light? Stop stalling for time. You will definitely die today. Chapter 1164. Boom. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit emitted a resplendent golden light, and his body was filled with dragon's might, as if he had turned into a golden divine dragon. He punched towards Demon God King Bo Sun. At the same time, divine power rose behind Ling Xiao, as vast as the sea. The heaven-devouring divine sea appeared, turning into a boundless devouring whirlpool, and began to devour the primordial spirit power emitted by Demon God King Bo Sun. And with a mere divine spirit realm cultivation, do you really think that you can kill me with the wordless heavenly book? Demon God King Bo Sun's eyes were blazing with killing intent. He knew it was useless to say anything now. Seeing Ling Xiao charging towards him, his body was also enveloped in demonic light. One of his arms suddenly pulled the chain of primal chaos, and swept it towards Ling Xiao. Although the power of the demon-suppressing divine palace was terrifying, it could only completely suppress Demon God King Bo Sun's body. However, it seemed to be lacking in power against his primordial spirit, and could easily drag the 4 primal chaos chains. If the 9 demon-suppressing divine palaces were to move at the same time, they might be able to completely suppress Demon God King Bo Sun. Unfortunately, the 4 great divine generals' power was limited, and could only activate 4 demon-suppressing divine palaces. Rumble. The 2 fists collided, and a dazzling radiance burst out. Ling Xiao felt a destructive power spreading towards his primordial spirit, and the wordless heavenly book flashed, and instantly devoured that power. With the protection of the wordless heavenly book, Ling Xiao seemed to be in an invincible position. However, Demon God King Bo Sun's strength was too terrifying, and this was Demon God King Bo Sun's home ground. Ling Xiao had no way to completely destroy Demon God King Bo Sun's primordial spirit. An intense battle erupted in Demon God King Bo Sun's sea of consciousness. Endless divine light rose, and terrifying divine power interweaved, terrifying to the extreme. This was a pure battle of gods. If the primordial spirit was heavily injured, the body would probably suffer irreversible damage. Therefore, this battle was incomparably dangerous. Ling Xiao and Demon God King Bo Sun's primordial spirit were fiercely fighting, and the four great divine generals outside were also using all their strength to activate the demon-suppressing Demon God King Bo Sun. Seeing that Demon God King Bo Sun was suppressed by the demon-suppressing divine palace, those demon gods seemed to have gone mad. They all fearlessly rushed towards the four great divine generals, wanting to save Demon God King Bo Sun. But how could the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and the others let them succeed? Many powerhouses surrounded the four great divine generals, and an extremely intense defensive battle broke out. Countless powerhouses of the devil race died in battle, and blood flowed like rivers. In the end, Duge Qiubai directly took action. A sword ray swept across the world with endless destructive power. Several demon gods were instantly slain by his sword. With the addition of Duge Qiubai, everyone was like a tiger that had grown wings. Their confidence was boosted, and they began to encircle and kill the demons. Just as a fierce battle was going on in the heavenly devil ancient land, Ancestor Zongsu, Shaman King Qi Kongjue of the sorcerer tribe, and Heavenly King Bai Wuliang of the heavenly human tribe stood in the chaotic void. A light screen was in front of them, clearly displaying the scene of the great battle in the heavenly devil ancient land. Fellow Taoists, can you make your move now? Qi Kongjue's eyes revealed a strong fighting spirit that was eager to give it a try. Seeing the four demon god palaces sealing Bo Sun and Ling Xiao rushing into the demon god palaces to kill Bo Sun, Qi Kongjue immediately couldn't hold back. No, now is not the time. Bai Wuyang's eyes flashed, and he slowly shook his head. Brother Bai is right. Now is not the time to make our move. Bo Sun's battle strength is too terrifying. I'm afraid he already has the battle strength of a heavenly god. Even if the three of us join forces, we won't have the slightest chance of victory. If we make our move now, it's equivalent to helping Bo Sun break the demon god palaces. Let's continue to wait, and hope that Ling Xiao can seriously injure Bo Sun with the wordless heavenly book. When the other side is completely defeated, that will be the time for us to make our move. Zongsu's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. How boring. Wouldn't it be better if we just rush over and fight? You two really like to play tricks. Qi Kongjue curled his lips and said with some dissatisfaction. However, he also knew that Bai Wuliang and Zongsu were speaking the truth. If they were to make their move now, they might really die in the hands of Bo Sun. Qi Kongjue, let alone Bo Sun, even that human Duge Qiubai, are you his match? Zongsu looked at Duge Qiubai on the screen of light with a trace of strange light in his eyes, and said slowly, Duge Qiubai? That guy is too abnormal. When Duge Qiubai was mentioned, Qi Kongjue's eyes revealed a trace of fear. To be able to cultivate to the deity realm in the human world was already a peerless talent, an incomparably heaven-defying talent. However, this guy actually comprehended the foundation of the Saint Tao. This was simply too frightening. Duge Qiubai used the power of destruction and life to kill Bo Sun's myriad transformations demon body. Qi Kongjue, Bai Wuliang, and Zongsu were all stunned when they saw this scene. They believed without a doubt that if that sword was aimed at them, they would definitely die without the slightest chance. Using the Saint Tao sword in the human world is simply the path to death. Right now, his vitality has been greatly damaged and he can't deal with us anymore. However, we still have to be on guard. So let's wait and see the result of this battle. Bai Wuliang finally spoke. Clearly, he was also very afraid of Duge Qiubai. The luck of the human race is truly enviable. The war god's world has already produced the heaven-defying Duge Qiubai and Ling Xiao, who has reached the three god stage. How generous is the heavens to the human race. Zongsu also sighed softly. That's right. To be able to reach the three god realm in the human world, his talent is not inferior to Duge Qiubai's foundation of the Saint Tao. It can be said that as long as Ling Xiao dies, he will definitely become a saint in the future. Unfortunately, he obtained the wordless heavenly book. A man's wealth is his own ruin. He will definitely die this time. Bai Wuliang nodded and said. The three supreme experts stood in the void and watched the battle in the heavenly devil ancient land. They were ready to take action at any time. In the demon-suppressing divine palace, the battle between Ling Xiao and Bo Sun's soul had already lasted for 3 days. The spiritual elder and the other 4 great divine generals were also on the verge of collapse, as if they couldn't hold on any longer. Their hearts were filled with anxiety. If Ling Xiao was unable to kill Bo Sun, then Bo Sun would really be able to escape from his predicament. In Bo Sun's sea of consciousness, the battle between Ling Xiao and Bo Sun seemed to have reached its final stage. Rumble. Chapter 1165. The wordless heavenly book shone brightly as it floated above Demon God King Bo Sun's sea of consciousness, emitting an eternal light. Demon God King Bo Sun's body emitted demonic light, but after being illuminated by the wordless heavenly book, it instantly melted like snow. Ling Xiao's body shone with resplendent light. Under the support of the wordless heavenly book, he was incomparably ferocious. His strength was extremely powerful, and each of his punches contained an incomparably terrifying power. Demon God King Bo Sun roared again and again. In these 3 days, although he possessed an extremely powerful strength, he was greatly restrained by the wordless heavenly book, causing him to be riddled with wounds. Demon God King Bo Sun knew that with the wordless heavenly book, he would not be able to injure Ling Xiao's primordial spirit at all. The reason why he was able to hold on until now was because he felt that the 4 great divine generals would not be able to hold on for so long. Once the 4 great divine generals could no longer hold on, his opportunity would come. Ling Xiao also understood this point, so his attacks were incomparably ferocious. Furthermore, he used the power of the wordless heavenly book to continuously attack Demon God King Bo Sun. In these 3 days, Demon God King Bo Sun's injuries accumulated, and in the end he began to weaken. Rumble. Suddenly, demonic light rose from Demon God King Bo Sun's body. The few primal chaos chains seemed to be unable to support his strength, and were directly broken by Demon God King Bo Sun. Ling Xiao, without the Demon God King Bo Sun, all of you will die. Ha ha ha. Demon God King Bo Sun let out a wild laugh, his eyes filled with cold killing intent. His primordial spirit had already broken free from the binding of the primal chaos chains. This meant that the 4 great divine generals' strength had weakened to the extreme. Soon, his body would be able to break free from the suppression of the Demon God King Bo Sun. Rumble. Heaven and earth violently trembled, and the 4 bronze palaces began to tremble. Wind and clouds surged, an endless divine light shone dazzlingly. The 4 great divine generals' figures seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Not good. The old goat, Daoist Wuliang, and the others revealed a worried look. Until now, Ling Xiao had not killed Demon God King Bo Sun. If the 4 great divine generals really could not hold on, then they would really be finished. Brothers, let's go. This time, we must not let Demon God King Bo Sun escape. We must help Master completely destroy Bo Sun. A sharp light flashed in Mu Linfeng's eyes as he spoke to Yi Qianjue and the others. He was dressed in white and had a heroic bearing. He looked extraordinary and there was a mysterious aura flowing around his body. Boom. He instantly soared into the sky, and the light around him was dazzling. In the void, the shadow of a 7-colored gourd appeared, revealing an ancient, mysterious, and vast energy fluctuation. Yes, senior brother. The other 6 brothers all shouted at the same time, and soared into the sky at the same time. Their bodies were all shining with dazzling light. Rumble. Mu Linfeng's group of 7 had devoured the 7 evils gourd's 7 evils origin force. At this moment, they were half flesh and half magic treasure. There was a mysterious connection between them. At this moment, the 7 of them soared into the sky at the same time. 7 resplendent rays of light fused together, and turned into a 7-colored gourd. It flowed with 7-colored multicolored light, and instantly flew down towards the devil-suppressing divine palace. Boom. The violently struggling demon god King Bo Sun seemed to have been suppressed by some terrifying power, and instantly became very obedient. The 7 evils gourd floated above demon god King Bo-sun's head, and the 7-colored light completely sealed him. 7 evils gourd. Damn it! How can a mere mortal world have such a treasure? In his sea of consciousness, demon god King Bo-sun's origin spirit was incomparably gloomy as he coldly said in disbelief. With the 7 evils gourd suppression, it was almost impossible for him to escape in a short period of time. Bo-sun, you will die today without a doubt. The killing intent flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, and he instantly threw a punch at demon god King Bo-sun. Don't think that the wordless heavenly book is an invincible existence. Ling Xiao, since you don't know life from death, this king will fulfill your wish. Demon god King Bo-sun's eyes revealed an extremely gloomy light as his killing intent blazed. Boom. The light around him was resplendent as his aura rose rapidly as if it contained an extremely terrifying power. Endless demonic light gushed out. Behind him, in a black vortex, an eye seemed to appear. That eye suddenly opened, and a black light containing the purest destructive power rushed towards Ling Xiao. The power of the demon god's eye was actually activated by demon god King Bo-sun's origin spirit. That black light was like the light of annihilation. It contained an incomparably terrifying power, and it instantly pounced towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as if he was not surprised at all. He still rushed towards demon god King Bo-sun. Freeze. Ling Xiao suddenly spat out an extremely ancient syllable that contained a mysterious power. That terrifying black light seemed to be frozen in the void. The power of the Age of Time was activated. With Ling Xiao's current cultivation of the 3 gods realm, he could already barely activate a trace of the power of the Age of Time without suffering too much of a backlash. However, his body still trembled as if his origin spirit was about to collapse. What? Demon god King Bo-sun felt as if he had fallen into a quagmire. His entire body seemed to be fixed in the void by some kind of power of law. Next, Ling Xiao instantly pounced on him. His entire body emitted a mysterious fluctuation of fate. A void flame burned in the void and slammed down on him. Ling Xiao's entire body was burning. The void fire spread as if it had reached demon god King Bo-sun's body in an instant. How can you activate the power of the Age of Time and the art of reversing fate? Demon god King Bo-sun was not only shocked at this moment, but also terrified. Although he knew that the Scarlet Dragon War God had the Age of Time and the art of reversing fate, the power of time and the power of fate were too mysterious. Even a divine king would find it difficult to comprehend them. He did not think that Ling Xiao could activate the power of these 2 divine techniques. However, he did not expect that Ling Xiao had not used these 2 divine techniques before. He had been enduring until now, but at the crucial moment of the divine war, they erupted. This time, demon god King Bo-sun was caught unprepared. Rumble. The void fire could also be said to be the fire of fate. It was the power of Ling Xiao's reversal of fate. It instantly enveloped demon god King Bo-sun. Under the superposition of the power of time and the power of fate, even if demon god King Bo-sun was as strong as a divine king, he was still severely injured. Boom. Chapter 1166. Just like a resplendent crystal shattering, demon god King Bo-sun's primordial spirit exploded into hundreds of pieces, each of which contained boundless power. The wordless heavenly book's radiance was dazzling as it instantly enveloped the hundreds of primordial spirit fragments. However, demon god King Bo-sun's vitality was extremely tenacious. Even after being heavily injured by the Heaven's Will secret technique, he actually didn't die completely. He was still resisting the wordless heavenly book's devouring. Ling Xiao could feel that demon god King Bo-sun's primordial spirit was extremely powerful, especially that godhead, which seemed to contain a trace of demon god King Bo-sun's primordial spirit, allowing him to not die immediately. Rumble. Ling Xiao made a prompt decision and urged the wordless heavenly book with all his strength. The wordless heavenly book shone brightly as if it had turned into a vast chaotic world, instantly swallowing demon god King Bo-sun's primordial spirit fragment and godhead. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit also instantly flew into the wordless heavenly book. Damn it, you ant! How could you possibly kill me? I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Demon god King Bo-sun's roar resounded, But it came to an abrupt end in an instant. Ling Xiao didn't dare to be careless or relax in the slightest. He sat cross-legged in the wordless heavenly book and began to frantically devour Demon God King Buoxuan's primordial spirit fragment. Demon God King Buoxuan's primordial spirit fragment contained an extremely terrifying and boundless power. It was simply a great supplement for the wordless heavenly book at this moment. Most of the power was devoured by the wordless heavenly book, while the purest power was fed back to Ling Xiao, causing his primordial spirit to skyrocket. Most importantly, Demon God King Buoxuan's primordial spirit fragment contained Demon God King Buoxuan's memories, experiences, cultivation methods, and other important information. At this moment, all of it was devoured by the wordless heavenly book and completely absorbed by Ling Xiao. It was as if Ling Xiao was receiving Demon God King Buoxuan's inheritance. It was even more thorough than receiving Demon God King Buoxuan's inheritance, as if it had completely devoured him. This is the cultivation method of the myriad transformations demon scripture. It's indeed mysterious and unfathomable. Demon God King Buoxuan actually obtained it from the ancient ruins of the demon realm? Legend has it that its cultivation method of the myriad transformations demon saint. Although it is somewhat incomplete, it can help me condense the origin source demon bone. Ling Xiao immediately became overjoyed after absorbing the information from the soul fragment. Demon God King Buoxuan's 10,000 transformations demonic scripture was incomparably wondrous. It was not as simple as a mere clone. Every 10,000 transformations demonic body was a life, and could be said to be immortal. The reason Ling Xiao obtained the origin demon bone was because his primordial spirit was too weak to refine the origin demon bone. Secondly, he didn't have a powerful martial art to refine the origin demon bone into a doppelganger. Now, after killing Demon God King Buoxuan, the conditions to refine the origin demon bone were all met. He instantly took out the origin demon bone. While cultivating the myriad transformations demon scripture, he used Demon God King Buoxuan's boundless primordial spirit to refine the origin demon bone in preparation for refining his avatar. Outside, with the 7 evils gourd suppressing Demon God King Buoxuan, the pressure on the 4 divine generals was greatly reduced. However, their remnant souls were already on the brink of exhaustion. They were just trying their best to hold on. Although Ling Xiao had already shattered the soul of Buoxuan Demon God King, the people outside did not know about this, and continued to suppress Buoxuan Demon God King. Rumble. On the War God continent, countless experts rushed to the heavenly devil ancient land, preparing to do their part in exterminating the demons. But on this day, a strange change suddenly occurred in the sky. Endless lightning fell from the 9 heavens, exuding a mysterious and ancient aura. A mysterious passageway seemed to have appeared in the sky. Dazzling divine light fell from the passageway. It was gorgeous and mysterious. Boundless divine Tao laws filled the air, and endless lightning rose. It was as if the void had shattered. From that passage, 6 mysterious figures floated down. These 6 figures stood in the 9 heavens, staring down at the vast war god continent. Their eyes gleamed with sharpness and were incomparably indifferent, like divine dragons looking down on ants. Their bones exuded a coldness as if they were looking down on the common people. There were men and women among those 6 figures, and each of them had an incomparably terrifying aura. Their bodies were filled with resplendent divine light and boundless divine might. They were all divine realm experts. This is the war god's world, the place where war god Scarlet Dragon descended? The world's spiritual energy is so thin, and the divine Tao laws are incomparably weak. It looks very ordinary. A cold voice slowly sounded. On the surface, it looks ordinary, but I can feel that there are some places here that I can't see through. Maybe there are still experts from the war a million years ago that survived. If we can capture them, we can naturally understand the situation of this world very quickly. There's no need to go through so much trouble. We can just push through. In a mere mortal world, I don't believe that anyone dares to defy our divine decree. The most important thing this time is to search for the wordless heavenly book. No matter what, the wordless heavenly book can't fall into the hands of the demon realm. We must bring it back to the divine realm. The 6 divine realm experts converse with each other. They didn't conceal their aura at all, so when they appeared, it instantly caused a commotion in the entire war god continent. It also attracted the attention of Zhongsu, Bai Wuliang, and Qi Kongjue. Experts from the divine realm have descended? Not good. If they discover the anomaly in the heavenly devil ancient land, I'm afraid we're done for. Qi Kongjue's eyes revealed a trace of unsightly expression. He could feel that the aura of the six figures was extremely terrifying. They were all true god realm experts, and they weren't any weaker than them. The descent of 6 true gods was enough to sweep across the war god continent. Even Zhongsu, Bai Wuliang, and Qi Kongjue had to avoid them. The descent of the divine realm experts is both a good and bad thing for us. Although we can finally return to the divine realm, the wordless heavenly book can't fall into their hands. It can only be in the hands of our 3 races. Zhongsu's eyes flashed with killing intent as he slowly said, "What's the use of saying so much? Bai Wuliang, you're the smartest. Quickly think of a way to deal with these 6 troubles." Qi Kongjue looked at Bai Wuliang and urged, "Why do we have to deal with them? There's no need to go through so much trouble. We can just go out openly and bring the 6 of them to the heavenly devil ancient land." Bai Wuliang's eyes flashed as he said with a faint smile, "Drive the tiger to devour the wolf?" Zhongsu's eyes also lit up. "What do you mean by driving the tiger to devour the wolf? Bai Wuliang, are you crazy? Aren't you afraid that those 6 fellows will directly attack us?" Qi Kongjue touched his head and asked doubtfully. Bai Wuliang looked at him helplessly and explained, "The situation in the heavenly devil ancient land is too complicated. It's still unknown who will win. No matter who wins, I'm afraid that we won't be able to take the wordless heavenly book that easily. Why don't we let those 6 fellows take the lead and explore the heavenly devil ancient land?" That's right. Duguqiubai's sword isn't that easy to receive. Although those 6 true gods have extraordinary strength, they're too arrogant. I'm afraid that they'll suffer a great loss in the hands of Duguqiubai. Let them fight among themselves. Zhongsu also sneered. Chapter 1167. Bai Wuliang, Zhongsu, and Qi Kongjue were plotting. The reason why they were so afraid of the 6 real gods was that, besides wanting to take the wordless heavenly book for themselves, there were no real gods from the heavenly human tribe, the god-burying tribe, or the sorcerer tribe among the 6 real gods. 1,000,000 years had passed. They were not clear about the current situation in the divine world. They also did not know the situation of the heavenly human tribe, god-burying tribe, and sorcerer tribe. Hence, they did not dare to act rashly. In the end, Bai Wuliang, Zhongsu, and Qi Kongjue chose to appear at the same time. With the 3 of them working together, even if the 6 real gods wanted to deal with them, they would be able to escape unscathed. Moreover, they believed that the wordless heavenly book would be more attractive to the 6 real gods. "Greetings to the 6 of you." With a flash of light in the void, Bai Wuliang, Zhongsu, and Qi Kongjue appeared in front of the 6 real gods. Rumble. The 3 of them exuded an extremely powerful aura. All of them had the cultivation of the true god realm. People from the heavenly human tribe, god-burying tribe, and sorcerer tribe. There was a glint in the eyes of the 6 real gods. When they saw Bai Wuliang and the other 2, they were surprised. Bai Wuliang and the other 2 did not conceal their aura and cultivation. Hence, the 6 real gods could easily see their origins. "Are the 6 of you from the divine world? We know the whereabouts of the wordless heavenly book. It is in the heavenly devil ancient land now. If you are late, it will fall into the hands of demon god King Bo Sun." Bai Wuliang's eyes flashed as he looked at the 6 real gods in front of him, and said slowly. At this moment, he finally saw the appearance of the 6 real gods clearly. The leader was a young man wearing black armor, and holding a halberd in his hand. His aura was powerful and extraordinary. His face was completely covered by the helmet, only revealing a pair of incomparably cold eyes. One of them was an old woman wearing a white robe, and holding a walking stick. She had a ruddy complexion and white hair. Her eyes were filled with indifference and sharpness. Her entire body exuded an extremely powerful sword essence. It was a burly man covered in demonic chi. He wore beast skins and had bulging muscles. His aura was incomparably powerful, and he carried a heaven-splitting axe. His physical body was extremely powerful. Among the last three true gods, one was a middle-aged man who was surrounded by ghostly energy as if he was hiding in the void. One was a young man who was wearing golden armor and had golden light flowing all over his body. The last one was a general who was sitting on a tyrannical tiger divine beast. He was surrounded by a murderous aura and carried with him an endless aura of conquering. They are the true gods of the War God Temple, Supreme Tao Palace, Heaven Devouring Sect, Heaven Ghoul Race, Gold Clan, and Sky Tyrant Divine Kingdom. Bai Wuliang recognized the six of them almost instantly, and his body trembled slightly. Among the six major forces, the War God Temple and Taishang Tao Palace were considered the pinnacle great sanctuaries in the entire God world. Their strength was boundless. Although the Sky Devouring Sect, Heaven Ghoul Tribe, Gold Clan, and Sky Tyrant Divine Kingdom were slightly weaker, they were still extremely powerful. The forces behind the six real gods made Bai Wuliang, Zhongsu and Qi Kongjue extremely afraid. When Bai Wuliang and the other two were sizing up the six real gods, the six real gods before them were also sizing them up. The young man in black armor from the War God Temple had a sharp glint in his eyes as he said indifferently, "What do you mean? How much fighting strength does Demon God King Bosun have left?" He was not surprised by the appearance of the experts from the heavenly human race, God-burying race, and sorcerer race. After all, since he came from the God world, he naturally had an incomparable understanding of the battle a million years ago. With the lifespan of Bai Wuliang and the other two, it was not a problem for them to live until now. However, the name of Demon God King Bosun made the six real gods' faces change slightly. Obviously, they were very clear about the terrifying meaning of this name. Now the successor of the Scarlet Dragon War God, Ling Xiao, is leading many experts to fight against Demon God King Bosun in the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land. However, Demon God King Bosun is too powerful. I'm afraid they won't be able to hold on for much longer. Don't worry, Demon God King Bosun should only have the fighting strength of a complete true god realm. Moreover, he has already been severely injured. Bai Wuliang understood the concerns of the six real gods, and said slowly, "If the name of Demon God King Bosun scared them away, the loss would outweigh the gain. The Scarlet Dragon War God already has an heir? That means Ling Xiao has obtained the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God?" A sharp light flashed in the eyes of the young man from the War God Temple, and his face turned slightly gloomy. That's right. Not only did he obtain the wordless heavenly book, but he also cultivated the War God technique. His physical body has become a god, and his strength is extremely powerful. Bai Wuliang said faintly and told them everything that had happened during this period of time. When the young man from the War God Temple heard that Ling Xiao had obtained the wordless heavenly book and cultivated the War God technique, his face turned gloomy and even revealed a hint of killing intent. "Where is the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land? Let's go." The young man from the War God Temple said faintly, but the coldness and killing intent in his voice had already seeped into his bones. Bai Wuliang and Zhongsu looked at each other secretly. Then the three of them led the six real gods and flew towards the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land. In the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land, almost all the demon clan experts and demon gods had been slaughtered. This piece of land flowed with rivers of blood and mountains of corpses. It was like an Azura hell. Not only the demon clan experts, but the experts of the various holy lands had also suffered heavy losses. They had died at the hands of the demon clan. The air was filled with a thick smell of blood. Above the void, for demon-suppressing divine palaces floated in the sky. Endless chaotic mist filled the air and suppressed Demon God King Bosun. The seven evils gourd flowed with seven-colored light. It was dazzling and mysterious. It contained an incomparably vast power that enveloped the chaotic mist. With the seven evils gourds addition, the spiritual sage, demon saint, moon mother, and Buddha Lord were able to breathe a sigh of relief. However, they were almost exhausted and had almost no strength to continue fighting. In particular, the remnant souls of the demon saint and moon mother had completely dissipated. Only the spiritual sage and Buddha Lord were still holding on. The old goat's eyes were filled with sadness. Although he knew that it was only a remnant soul of the demon saint, he still felt as if his father was by his side and had never left. The moon god's feelings were the most complicated. She originally thought that the Moon Mother would possess her and completely occupy her body. However, she didn't expect that the Moon Mother would only borrow her body to launch the final battle against demon god King Bo Sun. Moreover, before her death, the Moon Mother had completely passed on her inheritance to the Moon God. The Moon God was dazed. She felt as if she was the Moon Mother herself. Chapter 1168. Inside Demon God King Bo Sun's Sea of Consciousness. Originally, the hundreds of soul fragments contained incomparably powerful energy. Although Bo Sun's soul was shattered, there was still a trace of powerful willpower that resisted Ling Xiao's devouring and refining. However, with the addition of the origin demon bone, Bo Sun's willpower quickly melted like snow. Ling Xiao's Yuan spirit was sparkling and translucent. He sat cross-legged in the endless world of darkness. Opposite him, the origin demon bone seemed to have taken on his appearance, except that it was pitch black and emitted endless dark demonic qi. It was devouring the fragments of Bo Sun's Yuan spirit. After Ling Xiao comprehended the myriad transmuting demon scripture, he separated half of his soul and fused it with the origin demon bone. Under the suppression of the wordless heavenly book and the refinement of Bo Sun's powerful soul, the origin demon bone was completely refined by Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao's soul was shining with golden light, while the origin demon bone avatar was suffused with black light. The two figures sat cross-legged in the void, both emitting a powerful and mysterious aura, as if they had fallen into a state of enlightenment. Although half of Ling Xiao's soul had been severed, his soul rapidly recovered as he constantly devoured the power from the fragments. Moreover, it began to swell. The power of the origin demon bone avatar was incomparably terrifying. After being refined by Ling Xiao, the terrifying power contained in the origin demon bone avatar seemed to erupt, and its aura became increasingly powerful. Although the origin demon bone avatar looked exactly the same as Ling Xiao, its entire body was covered with demonic light and boundless demonic energy, as if it was a supreme true demon. Anyone who saw this Ling Xiao would feel as if he was a true demon god. The power of the soul fragments was rapidly consumed, and all of Bo Sun's memories, experiences, and martial arts were completely absorbed by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had also obtained the detoxification method of the seven-soul dispersing light from Bo Sun's primordial spirit. He was overjoyed. Once he completely refined all the primordial spirit fragments, he would be able to detoxify Jin Se. The mysterious aura between Ling Xiao's soul and the origin demon bone avatar grew stronger and stronger, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. Ling Xiao's body was also undergoing an incomparably wonderful change. Rumble. The void of the heavenly devil ancient land seemed to be torn apart by some terrifying force. Endless turbulence spread out, and dazzling divine light shone in all directions. 9 incomparably powerful figures descended upon the heavenly devil ancient land. Naturally, they were the 6 true gods, by Wuliang Zongsu and Qikongjiue. Who is it? The expressions of the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and the others changed as they stared at the 9 figures. They could feel that the auras of the 9 figures were extremely terrifying. They were even more powerful than those demon gods. Each of them was as majestic as the sea. It was as if a divine king had descended from the 9 heavens, causing everyone to tremble. They are people from the god realm. The few experts from the ancient demon tribe who had followed the old goat stared at the 6 real gods. Their eyes were filled with solemnity and surprise. They could feel that the auras of the 6 real gods were as vast as the sea, as well as the powerful divine Tao law. It was not something that they, who had stayed in the god of war's world for millions of years, could compare with. Dugu Qiubai's eyes also flashed as he stared at the 9 experts in front of him. There seemed to be some kind of sharp sword radiance flowing in his eyes. People from the god realm? These few words were like a bolt of lightning that shook the heavens and the earth, causing everyone to be shocked. Oh no! The gate of the god realm has opened at this time? They must be here for the wordless heavenly book on Master. No matter what, we must stop them. We must not let them disturb Master. I can feel that Master has reached the final juncture. Soon he will be able to completely destroy Bo Sun. Zhu Gonglia's anxious voice was transmitted into the sea of consciousness of the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and Dugachiobai. Zhu Ganglai could feel that Ling Xiao was currently in a mysterious state of cultivation. It was very likely that he had already eliminated Demon God King Bo Sun. He didn't even have the time to be happy and excited. He didn't expect the experts of the God realm to descend at this time. If it were by Wuyang Zongsu and Qi Kongjue, it would be fine. With Duguqiobai's strength, they might be able to resist for a while. However, the auras of the 6 real gods were too terrifying. It was obvious that they were at their peak. They were no match for them. Zhu Ganglai could only pray that the 6 real gods would not see through Ling Xiao's current state so quickly. Otherwise, Ling Xiao would really be in danger. The 6 real gods looked indifferent. They did not put the old goat and the others in their eyes. In their eyes, the old goat and the others were no different from ants. Their gazes fell on the 4 demons suppressing divine halls, the 7 evils gourd, the spiritual sage, and the Buddha Lord. The spiritual sage and the Buddha Lord? You are still alive? That's not right. You are just 2 remnant souls. The eyes of the young man from the War God Temple flashed. He instantly saw through the real situation of the spirit sage and the Buddha Lord. In his opinion, the cultivation of Jinsei and the Devil Buddha was not strong. It was just that they had a strong remnant soul power attached to them. They came from the God realm. Naturally, they knew about the battle a million years ago. They also recognized the spiritual sage and the Buddha Lord. That is the 7 evils gourd. I did not expect that there would be such a treasure in the mortal world. And the woman attached to the spiritual sage has such a miraculous physique? Hong Tianjiao, I can give up the wordless heavenly book. However, the 7 evils gourd and that woman belong to my Taishangdao palace. The eyes of the old woman from the Taishangdao palace were filled with blazing light. She looked at the 7 evils gourd and Jinsei as if they were supreme treasures. 7 evils gourd? The eyes of the other real gods also lit up. They weighed the pros and cons. Although the 7 evils gourd was extremely precious, they did not want to provoke the group of lunatics from the Taishangdao palace. Therefore, they did not say anything. You are from the War God Temple? Quickly retreat. Don't disturb us from suppressing the demon god King Bo Sun. The spiritual sage frowned slightly. She was currently presiding over the demon-suppressing divine hall with the Buddha Lord. She did not have the strength to fight these real gods. Moreover, she was very clear that these people were definitely here for the wordless heavenly book. Spiritual sage? You are just a remnant soul. Are you qualified to order me? Now I am going to destroy Bo Sun and take back the wordless heavenly book of my War God Temple. I advise you not to obstruct me. Otherwise, don't blame me for not taking into account Lord Crimson Dragon's old friendship. The young man from the War God Temple was called Hong Tianjiao. He glanced at the spiritual sage and smiled coldly. Chapter 1169. Rumble. The aura around his body was extremely terrifying, and a powerful fighting spirit flowed around him. His divine power rose up, and he strode towards the spiritual elder. His gait was majestic, and his eyes were cold, causing the space around him to violently tremble. Stop! Duguqiobai's eyes flashed as he stood in front of Hong Tianjiao with the ancient sword in his hand. He was wearing a black robe that fluttered in the wind. He was tall and slender. Although his face was ordinary, his eyes were extremely bright as if there were 2 rays of sword light condensing in them. The aura around him was mysterious as he blended in with the surrounding heaven and earth. He exuded a sword intent that surprised Hong Tianjiao. There is such a powerful sword cultivator in the mortal world. The door to the divine realm is closed. You are indeed talented to be able to ascend to the divine realm with your own strength. Kneel down and pledge your loyalty to me. I can bring you to the divine realm, and let you join the War God Temple. Hong Tianjiao said flatly with a hint of admiration in his eyes. Let me borrow your sword to defeat you first. Duguqiobai said calmly as the battle intent in his eyes became more intense. When he fought against demon god King Bo Sun, he used the sword of Saint Path recklessly, and suffered a great backlash. However, he still stood up for Ling Xiao. Especially Hong Tianjiao, who was in front of him, was a true god of the divine world at his peak. He wanted to see how strong the experts of the divine world were. Arrogant. You are just a divine spirit realm expert. How dare you say that you can defeat me with a single strike? Fine, I will show you the martial arts of the divine realm. It is not something that you can imagine. Hong Tianzhao sneered as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Rumble. The aura around him was extremely vast as rays of divine light gathered on his palm. He clenched his fist as the light around him blazed. He then threw a punch at Duguqiubai. Invincible divine fist. Hong Tianzhao's punch was extremely ferocious. He was like an invincible god of war. The surrounding void collapsed. The endless power of the void gathered on this punch, giving it the power to annihilate everything. This was a divine realm martial art that contained vast divine Dao law. When Hong Tianzhao threw out the punch, it had the aura of light that illuminated the world. Good timing. Duguqiubai's eyes glinted as he slowly raised the ancient sword in his hand. Rumble. The boundless sword light was extremely terrifying, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. It contained an extremely terrifying destructive power. This was the power of the destruction sword Dao. Although Duguqiubai did not use his full strength, the power of this sword strike was still extremely terrifying. What? Hong Tianzhao's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Duguqiubai's sword strike made him feel an uncontrollable fear, as if he was going to die in the next moment. He was only at the true God realm, so he couldn't understand the vastness and terror of the Saint Dao. However, he had a feeling that he was facing an invincible God King. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled violently. Hong Tianzhao's terrifying invincible divine fist was shattered. A terrifying sword radiance flashed, and in the next moment, it slashed his chest. Crack. Innumerable runes exploded on Hong Tianzhao's body. That was the power of his powerful defensive armor. However, it was severely damaged by this sword strike, causing its light to dim. Hong Tianzhao felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He was sent flying thousands of feet away in an instant. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned ghastly pale. He felt that if it wasn't for his powerful defensive armor, he would have been cut in half by Duguqiubai's sword strike. How could a mere expert of the divine spirit realm possess such terrifying power? What? The other 5 true gods were also in disbelief. They didn't expect Hong Tianzhao to be defeated by Duguqiubai with a single strike. Hong Tianzhao was a core disciple of the War God Hall. His strength was extremely terrifying, and he had a God King realm ancestor behind him. Even the other 5 true gods couldn't say for sure that they could defeat Hong Tianzhao. Only Bai Wuliang, Zhangsu, and Qi Kongjue weren't too surprised. However, when they sensed the terrifying aura of Duguqiubai's sword strike at such a close distance, they were still extremely shocked. That sword strike was able to kill Demon God King Bo Sun's myriad transformations demon body. It was truly terrifying to the extreme. That powerful sword intent made the 3 of them feel extremely solemn. Fortunately, the 6 true gods were the first to act. Otherwise, if the 3 of them were to act rashly, not only would they fail to get the wordless heavenly book, but they might also die in Duguqiubai's hands. Very well. I really misjudged you. I didn't expect a peerless genius like you to appear in the mortal realm. However, a genius who hasn't grown up is nothing if he dies. Just like that sword strike just now, how many strikes can you make? Kid, since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then die. Hong Tianzhao's eyes revealed a trace of cold murderous intent. Why are you wasting your breath on them? A bunch of ants, how dare they stop us? They are simply courting death. Kill them. As soon as Hong Tianzhao finished speaking, the old lady from the Supreme Doctrine Palace, the Gold Clan, the Sky-Devouring Sect, and the other true gods sneered coldly. Their eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. How could they not see that Duguqiubai was trying to stall for time? Therefore they all acted immediately. Rumble. The 6 true gods' auras were extremely terrifying. Each of them was majestic as they charged towards the 4 demons suppressing divine halls. Stop them. The old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and the others' eyes changed. They roared angrily as they charged towards the 6 true gods in the void. Although Duguqiubai had defeated Hong Tianzhao with a single strike, each time he used the sword of the holy path, he would suffer a great backlash. However, facing the 6 true gods, although his face was pale and his aura was chaotic, His eyes were still sharp as he charged towards the void with his sword in hand. Zhu Ganglai and the others made their moves. A fierce battle between the true gods broke out in an instant. However, the power of the 6 true gods was too terrifying. After exchanging blows, they realized that they were no match for the 6 true gods. The old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and the true gods that they brought along could not even withstand one strike from the 6 true gods. They retreated in defeat. Only Duga Qiubai and Zhu Ganglai managed to hold back the 4 true gods and were fighting fiercely with them. Although Bai Wuliang, Zongsu, and Qi Kongjue's eyes flickered, they were wise enough not to make a move. Chapter 1170. Hong Tianzhao and the old woman from the Supreme Dao Palace also noticed that Bai Wuliang and the other 2 did not make a move. Although they were incomparably furious, they did not flare up at this moment. Instead, they chose to attack the 4 devil-suppressing divine halls. After all, the wordless heavenly book was the most important. Boom! Hong Tianzhao punched out, and the fierce fist print instantly enveloped the 4 devil-suppressing divine halls. It contained an extremely terrifying destructive power. The spiritual sage and the Buddha Lord looked at each other, and there was a bitter smile in their eyes. Buddha Lord, you don't have to defend anymore. Help me protect this girl and suppress the 7 souls dispersing soul light in her sea of consciousness. Let me do something for that brat before I die. Take care of yourself. The spiritual sage looked at the Buddha Lord, and there was a trace of determination in his eyes. Spiritual sage, don't worry. I will protect this girl. As the saying goes, if I don't go to hell, who will? You go first and I'll come later. The Buddha Lord's face showed a carefree smile, and he nodded calmly. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled violently. There was a powerful divine light storm above Jinsei's head, and it turned into a blazing sword radiance. The sword radiance was vast and terrifying, and it contained an extremely powerful power. Then it suddenly exploded, and it split into hundreds of millions of bright sword radiances. It was like a cage, and it enveloped Hong Tianzhao. At the same time, the Buddha Lord came to Jinsei's side in an instant, and he slapped his palm on Jinsei's head. At the same time, a mysterious chanting sound came from his mouth, and a sparkling relic flew into Jinsei's sea of consciousness. Boom! The relic was formed by the Buddha Lord's lifetime of Buddhist power, and it contained the power to purify everything. It was extremely mysterious. Although there was no way to completely cure the poison of the 7 souls dispersing soul light, it could suppress the power of the 7 souls dispersing soul light. The Buddha Lord's body was shining with dazzling light. A ray of devil light and a ray of Buddhist light intertwined, and it turned into an extremely mysterious power, and suddenly suppressed the 4 real gods. The Buddha Lord seemed to have transformed into Tao. His entire body exploded, and he turned into a bright rain of light. The Buddhist light spread, and the mysterious chanting sound intertwined. The aura around him was incomparably pure, as if it was going to completely purify the world. Originally, the pressure on Duga Qiubai and Zhu Ganglai was extremely great. But the Buddha Lord's resplendent attack before his death, and immediately enveloped the 4 real gods, and gave them a chance to breathe. Rumble. Without the support of the spiritual sage and the Buddha Lord, the 4 halls, as if they were attracted by some mysterious power, they slowly disappeared into the void, and returned to their original positions. Only the 7 evils gourd was left in the void, emitting 7 beams of brilliant light. Qi's Buddha God and Chi's. He had a solemn look. Qi and Chi's he. Qi. Looked to him. Tu's God. Buddha Wuha. Li to God. Him. At this moment, demon god King Bosun no longer had any signs of life. Moreover, a majestic devouring force was emitted from his body, as if it was devouring demon god King Bosun's power. God King God is dead? Ah! Even the heavens are helping me. Hong Tianzhao laughed loudly. Then his eyes flashed with murderous intent. He punched Ling Xiao. Since God King God was dead, the wordless heavenly book would naturally fall into his hands as long as he killed Ling Xiao. Hong Tianzhao didn't think of capturing Ling Xiao alive. He knew how terrifying the wordless heavenly book was. Ling Xiao had the wordless heavenly book in his hands, and his physical body had become a god. His strength was unparalleled. If Ling Xiao really woke up, it was hard to tell who would win. As the saying goes, take the enemy's life when they're down. Hong Tianzhao's heart was extremely ruthless. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao. The old woman from the Taishangdao Palace took the opportunity to rush towards the Buddha Lord's gourd. Old woman, don't even think of hurting my master. A clear voice came from the Buddha Lord's gourd. Instantly, a rainbow-colored light shone, as if it had turned into an extremely powerful barrier. It blocked the old woman from the Taishangdao Palace. Hearing the words old woman, the old woman from the Taishangdao Palace turned green. Her face turned ugly, and her murderous intent blazed. You're courting death. The murderous intent around him was blazing. A black sword radiance was spat out from his fingertip. It contained an extremely terrifying power as it pierced towards the Buddha Lord's gourd. The sword radiance was extremely powerful, as if it was the sword of heaven. It contained a ruthless intent as if it wanted to destroy everything. The old woman's strength is too strong. Brothers, get out of the way. A strange voice came from the Buddha Lord's gourd. Instantly, the Buddha Lord's gourd shone brightly. It suddenly shattered into 7 resplendent divine rainbows, dodging the power of the sword radiance. Then, it instantly condensed back into the Buddha Lord's gourd. Demon God King Bo Sun is dead. Kill. By Wuliang, Zhongsu and Qi Kongjue felt that Demon God King Bo Sun no longer had any signs of life. Instantly, murderous intent flashed across their eyes as they attacked at the same time. Rumble. The aura of the 3 of them was extremely terrifying. They weren't any weaker than the 6 true gods. They also charged towards Ling Xiao. Bai Wuliang and the other 2 had been waiting patiently for a long time. Finally, they found the best opportunity. Moreover, they felt that Ling Xiao seemed to have reached the critical moment of a breakthrough. If they didn't attack now, it would be too late. Under the joint attack of Hong Tianzhao, the old woman from the Supreme Doctrine Palace, Bai Wuliang, Zhongsu, and Qi Kongjue, even the Buddha Lord's gourd couldn't withstand the attacks of the 5 true gods. The enchantment that it had formed was also on the verge of collapsing. It was as if it could shatter at any time. Rumble. Finally, the Buddha Lord's gourd couldn't withstand the terrifying attacks of the 5 true gods. The 7-colored enchantment that it had formed exploded. No, the old goat, Daoist Wuliang, Jinsei, Shuiwei, Moon Goddess, and the others were extremely worried as they shouted. However, they were too weak. Even Shuiwei couldn't withstand the power of the 5 true gods. The eyes of the 5 true gods were filled with cruelty. Ling Xiao, who was sitting cross-legged in front of them, was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. They could crush him to death at any time. Kill. Murderous intent flashed across Hong Tianzhao's eyes. A terrifying fist print was about to land on Ling Xiao. At this moment, Jinsei's eyes revealed a trace of determination. Like a dancing flame, her speed was extremely fast. Instantly, she appeared in front of Ling Xiao. Rumble. A terrifying aura exploded from Jinsei's body. It was a peerless sword essence. It was as if it was going to break the 9 heavens. It was eternal and immortal. It contained a vast and unparalleled power. Jinsei's eyes flashed and a snow-white sword light slashed towards Hong Tianzhao. Chapter 1171. This is Regal Sword Essence. How is this possible? The eyes of the old woman from the Taishangdao Palace were filled with shock, which then turned into ecstasy. In the Taishangji Palace, only those who had comprehended the Taishang sword were true disciples of the Taishangji Palace. This was because the path to the Taishang sword was the Taishang way of the sword, which represented the foundation of the divine path. The supreme path of the divine path was the foundation of every martial arts holy land. However, in the Taishangdao Palace, there might not even be 1 out of 10,000 disciples who could comprehend the Taishang sword intent. However, in this mere mortal world, a person who had never cultivated the Taishangdao martial arts could actually comprehend the Taishang sword intent. This was simply a rare genius of the Taishangdao. The old woman from the Taishang Palace immediately decided that she must bring this girl back to the Taishang Palace and nurture her. Hong Tianzhao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Although the sword essence contained in this strike was vast and unparalleled, It was a pity that the difference in cultivation between him and Jinsei was too great. Jinsei was no match for him at all. Therefore, when his fist landed, it directly shattered the blazing sword radiance. Bang! As if struck by lightning, Jinsei's face instantly turned pale, and a trace of bright red blood appeared at the corner of her mouth. Her body flew out, severely injured by Hong Tianzhao's punch. Sister Jinsei. Shui Wei's eyes revealed a trace of anxiety. She immediately rushed to the sky and caught Jinsei's body. Boom! At this moment, there seemed to be a dense black light between Jinsei's eyebrows, exuding an evil, dark, and ancient aura. Moreover, there was a mysterious seven-colored light flickering from within. This time, Jinsei forcefully used her own strength. Although she managed to block Hong Tianzhao's attack, she could no longer suppress the seven souls dispersing soul light in her sea of consciousness. Even the Sarira of the Buddha Lord was useless. Jinsei could feel her life force slipping away at an alarming rate. Even her vision was turning blurry. You're Shui Wei, right? Big Brother Ling Xiao told me about you, and I can tell that Big Brother Ling Xiao likes you. Unfortunately, I can't stay by his side anymore. Shui Wei, promise me that you'll take good care of Brother Ling Xiao for me. Jinsei grabbed Shui Wei's hands tightly, her entire body trembling, her eyes filled with anticipation. Shui Wei's eyes were red and her entire body was trembling. A line of hot tears welled up in her eyes, as if they were about to flow out at any moment. Hearing Jinsei's words, Shui Wei's voice carried a hint of sobbing. Sister Jinsei, don't die. Young master has waited for you for 10,000 years. You are his life. If you die, young master will be very sad. Sister Jinsei, I have a lot of spirit pills here, many healing spirit pills. I'll help you heal. Shui Wei took out a spirit pill and fed it to Jinsei. Jinsei stopped her and smiled weakly. Silly girl, it's no use. The poison of the seven souls dispersing soul light was something that even divine medicines could not cure. Promise me you'll take good care of Big Brother Ling Xiao for me. Seeing Jinsei's expectant gaze, Shui Wei's entire body trembled. Sparkling tears fell from her eyes as she nodded silently. Thank you. Jinsei smiled weakly and directly fainted. The poison of the seven souls dispersing soul light. Hearing these words, the expression of the old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace changed greatly. The seven souls dispersing soul light was an extremely tyrannical divine ability of the demon race. It was extremely famous in the god realm. It was said that if a saint was poisoned by the seven souls dispersing soul light, they would be tortured half to death. She did not expect Jinsei to be poisoned by such a strong poison. It must have been left behind by the demon god King Bo Sun. If you don't want her to die, quickly hand her over to me. I have the supreme emotion for getting water. It can cure the poison in her body. The old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace hurriedly said. It was not easy to find an exceptional genius suitable for the Supreme Tao martial arts. If she died like this, it would be too much of a pity. Shui Wei hugged Jinsei tightly as she looked at the six true gods with eyes full of hatred. Naturally, she did not believe the old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace. At that moment, Zhu Gonglia's eyes lit up and he quickly said to Shui Wei, the supreme emotion for getting water is the Supreme Tao Palace's treasure. It can really cure the poison in your body. That's right. This is the supreme emotion for getting water. Quickly let her consume it. Otherwise it will be too late. The old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace took out a transparent glass bottle. Within it was half a bottle of crystal clear liquid. It gave off a mysterious light and flowed with an ancient and mysterious Tao rhyme. At that moment, the black light had already enveloped Jinsei's glabella and was spreading towards her entire body. The Buddha Lord Sarira in her consciousness had completely shattered. The dense Buddha light became extremely weak and the seven souls dispersing soul light started to merge into Jinsei's primordial spirit. Shui Wei clenched her teeth. She could feel that Jinsei's current situation was extremely critical. She could only temporarily believe the old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace. The old woman from the Taishang Holy Ji Palace opened the transparent glass bottle and pointed with her finger. Dazzling light filled the air. The Taishang passionless water turned into a beam of light and rushed into Jinsei's mind. The supreme emotion for getting water exuded an incomparably ancient and mysterious fluctuation. The seven souls dispersing soul light melted like snow. The supreme emotion for getting water also merged into Jinsei's primordial spirit and began to nourish her primordial spirit, expelling the seven souls dispersing soul light's power. However, the old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace frowned when she sensed the situation in Jinsei's consciousness. Not good. The seven souls dispersing soul light has already invaded her primordial spirit. Although the supreme emotion for getting water has eliminated most of the seven souls dispersing soul light's poison, there is no way to completely cure it. It seems that we can only send her back to the sect and ask the sect master and elders to help. The old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace said slowly. Her eyes flashed sharply and she directly put Jinsei into her small world. Stop. Hand over Sister Jinsei. Shuewei panicked. She pointed the 6 paths of reincarnation sword at the old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace with a cold look in her eyes. Little girl, you must be from the Samsara Temple, right? Don't be so impudent. If I hand Jinsei over to you, you won't be able to cure her. The seven souls dispersing soul light's poison has already entered her primordial spirit. Only the elders of the Supreme Tao Palace can remove it. So, I'm doing this for her own good. The old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace's eyes flashed. She felt the aura from Shuewei's body and was slightly surprised. However, she still spoke calmly. Previously, she looked incomparably arrogant and treated everyone as ants. However, when she felt the aura from Shuewei's body, she began to speak to her in an equal tone. It was clear that the Samsara Temple was extremely powerful in the God world. Chapter 1172. Boom. Suddenly, a loud noise came from afar. The 7 demons' Gord's barrier was broken by Hong Tianzhao again. After Jinsei was injured by Hong Tianzhao, the 7 demons' Gord once again formed a 7 demons' barrier to protect Ling Xiao. However, Hong Tianzhao and the others were too powerful and broke it again. At this moment, Ling Xiao was completely exposed in front of Hong Tianzhao and the others. Hong Tianzhao's eyes showed a trace of cruelty. He punched Ling Xiao's head. The fist print was so terrifying that it seemed like it was going to smash Ling Xiao's head into pieces. No! Shuewei shouted. Her eyes were filled with anxiety. She immediately rushed toward Hong Tianzhao with the 6 paths of reincarnation sword in her hand. However, it was still too late. Hong Tianzhao's punch was extremely ferocious and unpredictable. It landed on Ling Xiao's head in an instant and blasted Ling Xiao into pieces. Ling Xiao disappeared into the void. Hong Tianzhao's eyes flashed. He suddenly felt that something was wrong. The Ling Xiao in front of him was only an afterimage. The real Ling Xiao was nowhere to be found. You all deserve to die. An extremely cold voice came from the void. It contained a monstrous killing intent. Rumble. The heaven and earth shook and the void shattered. Bolts of lightning fell from the 9 heavens. The lightning was extremely bright and golden. Ling Xiao was surrounded by a chaotic aura. His black hair fluttered in the wind. His body was extraordinarily handsome and exuded a terrifying power. At this moment, his eyes were filled with rage and killing intent. They shot out as if they were tangible, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Ling Xiao had just woken up from his cultivation state. When he heard the crowd's discussion, he immediately understood what had happened. When Hong Tianzhao's punch came, it was directly dodged by him using the teleportation secret skill. When Ling Xiao heard that Jinsei had been poisoned by the 7 souls dispersing light and was on the verge of death, he immediately went berserk. Shuewei was right. Jinsei was Ling Xiao's life. She was his reverse scale. Anyone who touched her would die. Therefore, when Ling Xiao heard that something had happened to Jinsei, his heart was immediately shrouded in a monstrous killing intent. It was as if a vast divine power had been set off in the surrounding void. It's Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao is awake. Patriarch devouring heaven. These are all experts from the realm of the gods. They are the ones who harmed Patriarch Changsheng. The old goat, Taoist Wuliang Long Outyen, and the rest of the people from the Changsan sect were overjoyed. They were all excited. Young master, Sister Jinsei is in this old woman's small world. Hurry up and save her. Shuewei's eyes were also filled with joy. She hurriedly pointed at the old woman from the Supreme Tao Palace. Your Ling Xiao. Kneel down and hand over the textless heavenly book and the scarlet dragon war god's inheritance. Hong Tianzhao furrowed his brows, but his face remained cold as he stared at Ling Xiao and said flatly, although he wasn't able to kill Ling Xiao and wake him up, in his opinion, Ling Xiao's cultivation was merely at the divine spirit realm, which was a realm lower than his own. Killing Ling Xiao would be an easy task. Ling Xiao did not even look at Hong Tianzhao. With a flash of light, he appeared in front of the old woman from the Taishang Palace. Hand over Jin Sei or die. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with killing intent. His voice was emotionless. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? Kid, Jin Sei has become a disciple of Taishang Dao Palace. You can't even protect yourself. I advise you to think about your own situation. The old woman from the Taishang Holyji Palace sneered at Ling Xiao. Master, this old woman gave Mistress the Taishang emotion water. She saved Mistress' life. Zhu Ganglai reminded Ling Xiao through telepathy. She took the Taishang emotion water? Hearing Zhu Gonglia's words, Ling Xiao's heart couldn't help but ache. Zhu Ganglai had told him that although the Taishang emotion water could cure Jin Sei's 7 souls dispersing soul light, it could also cleanse Jin Sei's primordial spirit. Jin Sei would forget Ling Xiao completely. She would never remember anything from the past. If that was the case, would Jin Sei still be Jin Sei? However, Ling Xiao also knew that Jin Sei's primordial spirit had already been invaded by the 7 soul dispersing light. If she hadn't consumed the supreme emotion for getting water, Jin Sei would have already died. Ling Xiao could only blame himself for waking up too late. Incomparable self-blame and regret spread in Ling Xiao's heart. Since you saved Jin Sei, I won't kill you. Hand over Jin Sei. I'll let you go. Ling Xiao suppressed his killing intent and stared at the old woman from Taishang Dao Palace. Ling Xiao, I'm talking to you. How dare you ignore me? You're courting death. Hong Tianzhao, who was ignored by Ling Xiao, could not take it anymore. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Boom. Divine power surged around his body, and with a flash of light in his hand, a black heavenly halberd slashed down toward Ling Xiao with a monstrous force. Endless black light filled the air. The heavenly halberd contained an ancient and desolate concept. It was as if it was going to break open a barren world. Scram. Ling Xiao felt the killing intent coming from behind him. Instantly, killing intent rose in his eyes. Golden blood qi exuded from his body, and the tyrannical aura in his body exploded. Boom. Ling Xiao threw out a punch. Like a peerless god of war, the punch contained invincible power. It went straight for Hong Tianzhao's heavenly halberd. Although Hong Tianzhao was a true god realm expert, he was not even comparable to demon god King Bo Sun's great transformations demon body. How could Ling Xiao take him seriously? Moreover, Ling Xiao had reached the triple god realm. He had refined demon god King Bo Sun's flesh and primordial spirit power. His strength had increased tremendously. This fist pressed down on the heavens like an immemorial divine mountain. It actually slammed directly onto the halberd. Boom. Boundless divine light burst forth, and streaks of blazing lightning lit up the void. Hong Tianzhao felt an unparalleled divine force rushing towards him, and he was actually struck by lightning. He was abruptly sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch. This is the God of War King Fist. Hong Tianzhao's face turned ghastly pale, and there was an unconcealable shock in his eyes. The God of War King Fist was the basic martial art of the War God Hall. It was only a lower divine level martial art. However, there were very few people who could cultivate the God of War King Fist to the complete realm. Chapter 1173. How could Hong Tianzhao not be shocked when he sensed the aura of the God of War King's fist from Ling Xiao's body? As a genius of the War God Hall, he had only cultivated the God of War King's fist to the greater realm. He had not even reached the small perfection realm, let alone the legendary great perfection realm. Moreover, the 3 Dao flowers above Ling Xiao's head made Hong Tianzhao jealous. It represented the triple God realm. It was a mysterious phenomenon formed by the law of heaven when one's essence, qi, and spirit became a god. Even in the vast realm of the gods, those who could achieve the triple god realm were 1 in a billion geniuses. They were the holy sons and young kings of the various holy lands. Hong Tianzhao was not even in the double god realm. He had only become a god through the law of heaven. Therefore he was jealous of Ling Xiao and wanted to kill him. However, it was a pity that Ling Xiao's strength was too strong and exceeded his expectations. My friends, let's kill Ling Xiao together. I can share the secrets of the wordless heavenly book with you. Hong Tianzhao said as he pointed at Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The other true gods, including Zongsu, Bai Wuliang, and Qi Kongjue, all had their eyes lit up. They stared at Ling Xiao with cold killing intent. They all wanted the wordless heavenly book. No matter what, they had to kill Ling Xiao first. Even the old woman from the Taishang Palace chose to attack. You must die. Only with your death can the mark in Jin Sei's heart be completely erased. Only then can she cultivate the Taishang sword principle faster. The old woman from the Taishang Palace thought to herself. Her eyes were filled with killing intent. She could see that Jin Sei was deeply in love with Ling Xiao. Although the Taishang emotion water was cleansing Jin Sei's primordial spirit, it was hard to guarantee that Ling Xiao had left a deep mark in her primordial spirit. Therefore, she had to kill Ling Xiao to get rid of all future troubles. The 9 true gods had joined forces at this moment. Everyone's bodies trembled, and a trace of shock and worry appeared in their eyes. Ling Xiao's strength was incomparably powerful, actually causing 9 real gods to join hands. But under the cooperation of 9 real gods, could Ling Xiao really win this battle? Even the people from the Changsun sect let out a look of worry in their eyes. Kill! Hong Tianzhao roared and charged at Ling Xiao. Rumble! The halberd shone with resplendent light as it pierced through the sky, majestically spanning hundreds of thousands of feet. This was the war god shrine's peerless martial art, the great desolate halberd art. It contained an incomparably terrifying energy fluctuation. As for the other true gods, their attacks were also extremely terrifying, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Chaotic fog filled the air, and vast divine power rose up like an ocean, as though it was going to drown Ling Xiao completely. From Ling Xiao's point of view, these 9 true gods were indeed very strong. If they worked together, they would be able to defeat Bo Sun's demon god king's myriad transformations demon body. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao was no longer the Ling Xiao of the past. After reaching the 3 gods' realm, he devoured Bo Sun's soul and flesh. More importantly, after reaching the 3 gods' realm, he almost completely refined the wordless heavenly book, and obtained some things left behind by the Scarlet Dragon War God. The current Ling Xiao was more than 100 times stronger than before. Hence, regardless of whether it was Bai Wuliang, Zongsu, Qi Kongjue, or Hong Tianzhao and the other true gods of the 6 divine realms, they were just a joke in Ling Xiao's eyes. Boom! Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp and emitted a very strange fluctuation. One of his eyes shone with golden light while the other one was shrouded in black light. Demon Qi rose from his eyes. At this moment he looked somewhat similar to the demon Buddha, as he emitted 2 types of energy fluctuation, divine power and demon Qi. Ling Xiao had already refined the origin demon bone into his doppelganger. Hence, he was able to mobilize the power of the origin demon bone. At this moment, Ling Xiao's true combat strength could be said to be far beyond an ordinary true god realm expert. A golden fist print swept across the sky, and it was extremely fierce. It directly hit Hong Tianzhao's halberd. Then Ling Xiao's body was like a golden lightning, and he instantly appeared beside Hong Tianzhao, causing Hong Tianzhao's expression to change greatly. Hong Tianzhao naturally knew that Ling Xiao's physical body was extremely strong. At this moment, Ling Xiao was close to him. If he were to fight with Ling Xiao in close combat, it would not be a wise choice. Hence, without thinking, he quickly retreated backward. Swoosh! Ling Xiao's speed was extremely fast. He directly grabbed one of Hong Tianzhao's arms and threw it abruptly. Then he suddenly kicked out and kicked Hong Tianzhao's stomach. Bang! The black armor on Hong Tianzhao's body exploded. Although the black armor was a powerful defensive divine weapon, the power of Ling Xiao's kick was too terrifying. It still caused Hong Tianzhao's body to curl up like a lobster. Then he instantly flew out. You want my wordless heavenly book? Do you think trash like you deserve it? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with murderous intent. His entire body emitted a powerful dragon aura, and there seemed to be a colorful divine dragon that appeared behind him. It was lifelike and contained an extremely powerful energy fluctuation. It swept towards the few real gods behind him. Bang! Behind Ling Xiao, Bai Wuliang, Zhongsu, and Qi Kongjue were all shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they were swept away by the divine dragon. Their bodies shook violently, and their internal organs were tumbling. It was as if their physical bodies were about to explode. It was extremely uncomfortable. How is this possible? Zhongsu opened his eyes wide in shock. Not long ago, when they were in God Burial Cave, Zhongsu could still feel that even if Ling Xiao used his full strength, he would only be on par with him. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao's fighting power to become so terrifying after such a short period of time. Don't panic. Let's kill him together. Murderous intent flashed in the eyes of the young man from the Gold Clan. The golden blood qi around him soared into the sky. The golden armor on his body emitted an ancient light, and his hair was also golden. His entire body seemed to be cast in gold as he pounced towards Ling Xiao. Roar! At that moment, an ancient and mysterious dragon roar suddenly erupted from Ling Xiao's mouth. The sky shook violently. The dragon roar was as if an ancient divine dragon had descended. It emitted an unparalleled ferocious aura. The aura was extremely terrifying, ancient, mysterious, and vast. It was the 8 notes of the heavenly dragon. It was the supreme sound attack superpower of the dragon clan. It was also an attack skill in the secret skill of the ancestor dragon. After Ling Xiao condensed the body of the divine dragon, he finally began to release the supreme divine aura of the divine dragon. Chapter 1174. Kill. Ling Xiao suddenly roared. The killing intent in his eyes was extremely intense. A vast and mysterious bloodline power began to burn around his body. That was the power of the divine dragon bloodline. As the divine dragon bloodline burned, Ling Xiao's aura began to surge crazily. This was the power of the violent dragon divine ability. In the past, Ling Xiao's bloodline power was too weak to support the violent dragon divine ability, so he rarely used it. Now his divine dragon body was able to support the violent dragon divine ability. The current limit of the violent dragon divine ability was to explode with 64 times the strength. However, if Ling Xiao used 64 times the strength, he would probably explode before he could kill his enemy. Therefore, he used the violent dragon divine ability to increase his strength by 10 times, making his physical body extremely terrifying. Rumble. Ling Xiao punched out, shattering the void in an instant. This punch was aimed at Qi Kongjue, causing Qi Kongjue to reveal an extremely horrified expression. Kill. However, Qi Kongjue's ferocity seemed to have been stimulated by Ling Xiao. The sorcerer tribe was originally a tribe that emphasized the refinement of the physical body. The strength of their physical body was not weaker than the demon tribe or the devil tribe. Therefore, he also activated the power of his bloodline. His entire body seemed to have expanded as he punched towards Ling Xiao. Not good. Qi Kongjue, retreat quickly. Bai Wuyang's expression changed greatly as he hurriedly shouted at Qi Kongjue. Ling Xiao's punch was too terrifying, causing him to feel a fatal threat. Qi Kongjue, that rash young man, actually rushed forward. This was simply courting death. Rumble. However, his words were still too late. When Ling Xiao punched out, Qi Kongjue's punch was like a piece of paper, instantly shattering. Qi Kongjue's punch was the starting point. His entire body seemed to have been crushed by some kind of terrifying power, instantly exploding into a mist of blood in the void. Until the moment of his death, Qi Kongjue's eyes were still filled with disbelief and unwillingness. Rumble. The devouring divine sea behind Ling Xiao surged, instantly devouring Qi Kongjue's essence and primordial spirit. When one reached the true immortal realm, one's flesh could be said to be a divine medicine that could revive the dead. It was a great supplement for Ling Xiao at this moment. Moreover, Ling Xiao had refined the origin demon bone. He needed a lot of flesh and blood to create a clone for the origin demon bone. Thus, the pitiful Qi Kongjue was killed by a single punch from Ling Xiao. Ah, good kill. Master is mighty. The old goat, Zhu Ganglai, and the others were pleasantly surprised and laughed out loud. Ling Zhao's strength was peerlessly horrifying. 9 great true gods were actually so weak in front of Ling Zhao. Damn it. If not for the suppression of this world's laws, Ling Zhao would have died without a doubt. Hong Tianzhao roared. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and shock. These 6 true gods were sent down by the supreme existence of the divine world, using a great divine ability. Their strength was also very strong. Almost all of them were true god realm experts, but under the suppression of the war god world's laws, they were only left with the strength of early and middle true god realm. Ling Zhao's strength was too powerful, actually making them all have thoughts of retreating. Whoosh! Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with killing intent as he charged towards Bai Wuliang and Zhang Su. A blazing sword light shot out from Ling Zhao's fingertip. It contained an invincible power, and was extremely sharp. Bai Wuliang and Zhang Su's faces changed drastically. Their hearts were filled with fear of Ling Zhao, and they immediately retreated. However, the sword light was too scorching and indestructible. It actually contained a mysterious will of the Tao, which surprised Du Guqiu by slightly. This sword light actually contained a trace of the divine path. This was because Ling Zhao had merged the sword will of the great emperor in the divine tribulation. Bai Wuliang and Zhang Su realized sadly that there was no way for them to dodge. Puff! A bloody light flashed, and Bai Wuliang's glabella was directly pierced through. The terrifying sword qi directly destroyed his primordial spirit. A heavenly king of the heavenly human tribe died in Ling Zhao's hands just like that. Zhang Su's soul almost left his body. He did not dare to stay here any longer. He wanted to tear open the void and escape without thinking. Rumble. However, Ling Zhao simply threw out a punch, and a terrifying fist print covered the entire area. Even though Zhang Su roared furiously, he was still blasted into a bloody mist by Ling Zhao's punch in the end. Bai Wuliang and Zhang Su's primordial spirits were also devoured by Ling Zhao's sky-devouring divine sea. In between Ling Zhao's glabella, the demonic origin bone had become exactly the same as Ling Zhao. As the boundless qi of blood and flesh surged in, the dark Ling Zhao's aura became stronger and stronger. He was like a supreme true demon, exuding the aura of the demonic origin. Hong Tianzhao and the other real gods' faces grew grave. There was even a tinge of fear that they could not suppress. Bai Wuliang, Zhang Su, and Qi Kongjue, the 3 true gods, died in Ling Zhao's hands just like that. It could be said that they did not have the slightest ability to resist. Ling Zhao's physical strength was terrifying to the extreme. His physical body had become a true god. In addition to the violent dragon superpower, Ling Zhao had the power to kill a true god. Ling Xiaoyu. Hong Tianzhao's eyes were gloomy. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something. However, what made him furious was that Ling Zhao did not bother with him at all. Instead, he flew across the sky and charged towards the 6 true gods. Rumble. Ling Zhao's body was filled with divine light, and the golden clouds were blazing. The golden qi of blood and flesh formed the shape of dragons around him, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. His clothes were whiter than snow, his black hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were filled with blazing killing intent. Since the 6 true gods had come for the wordless heavenly book, they were already mortal enemies in his heart. Moreover, Jinsei was severely injured and dying because of them. This caused Ling Zhao's killing intent to boil even more. In this world, only Jinsei's safety could make Ling Zhao lose his rationality and kill everyone without a care in the world. Rumble. The power of God of War surged around Ling Zhao's body. He threw a punch and the arm of the young man from the Gold Clan instantly exploded into a mist of blood. The golden armor on his body also shook violently, and he was instantly sent flying by Ling Zhao. The burly man from the demon clan from the sky-devouring sect braced himself to receive Ling Zhao's attack. Ling Zhao punched a large hole in his chest, and he was severely injured in an instant. Murderous intent flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes. He sensed an extremely obscure murderous intent coming at him. There was a faintly discernible shadow in the void that seemed to be able to blend into the void. Ling Zhao immediately sensed that it was the true god of the Heaven Ghoul clan. Swoosh! Ling Zhao reached out his hand and tore open the void. The expert from the Heaven Ghoul tribe was directly pulled out of the void by Ling Zhao. Then Ling Zhao pulled with both hands. Boundless bloody light filled the air, illuminating the terrified eyes of the true god from the Heaven Ghoul tribe. Along with a blood-curdling scream, he was forcefully torn into two by Ling Xiao. Even his primordial spirit was shattered by Ling Xiao's palm. Chapter 1175. You killed Guichen of the Heaven Ghoul tribe. The Heaven Ghoul tribe won't let you go. Hong Tianzhao's eyes were filled with shock as he pointed at Ling Xiao in exasperation. Ling Xiao's strength was too terrifying. The true god of the Heaven Ghoul tribe couldn't resist Ling Xiao at all, and was torn to pieces by Ling Xiao. Although he was slightly stronger than Guichen, there was a limit. If Ling Xiao targeted him, he would die without a doubt. The original 9 true gods were torn apart by Ling Xiao. Bai Wuliang, Zhongsu, Qi Kongjue, and Guichen were the 4 true gods, leaving only 5. So what if you're from the Heaven Ghoul tribe? So what if you're from the War God Temple? Anyone who blocks my path must die. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Among the 6 true gods, he hated Hong Tianzhao the most. If it wasn't for Hong Tianzhao, Jin Sei wouldn't have been forced to attack, and the 7-soul dispersing light wouldn't have backfired. Therefore, Ling Xiao wanted to kill Hong Tianzhao. Boom. Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by a dazzling light. Strands of golden light traversed the void like divine chains of order. He punched out with unparalleled ferocity. Moreover, the 3 Dao flowers above Ling Xiao's head contained boundless power, causing Ling Xiao's body to be filled with an immortal aura. After reaching the triple god realm, Ling Xiao felt that the divine power in his body was endless and almost merged with the origin of heaven and earth, allowing his body to unleash even more terrifying power. Damn it! Hong Tianzhao's scalp was numb, and his eyes were filled with exasperation. The sky piercer in his hand shone with a cold light, and contained boundless killing intent. It was like a black river that suddenly slashed toward Ling Xiao. At the same time, his body moved backward as fast as he could, trying to distance himself from Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao's body was invincible. Even the experts from the Gold Clan and the Devouring Sky sect were defeated by Ling Xiao. Guichen of the Heaven Ghoul tribe was torn apart by Ling Xiao. Naturally, he didn't dare to fight Ling Xiao in close combat. Boom. Ling Xiao's fist landed on the heavenly halberd, instantly shattering all the halberd shadows in the sky. Boundless divine light rose, and the heavenly halberd trembled violently. It was actually sent flying by Ling Xiao's fist towards Hong Tianzhao's head. Hong Tianzhao's expression changed drastically. However, the speed of the halberd was too fast for him to dodge. He could only push out his palms and infuse endless divine power into them to block the halberd. Crack. Hong Tianzhao's arms were instantly shattered by the sky halberd. Blood splattered everywhere. In the end, the sky halberd slammed onto his armor, causing him to tremble violently. He coughed up blood and staggered backward. Kill. Ling Xiao stepped into the air like a bolt of golden lightning. His eyes were cold as he charged towards Hong Tianzhao, intending to kill him. That's not right. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he felt a sense of danger descending upon him. The void in front of him was distorted, and there were a few mysterious gems flickering. They contained an incomparably violent power, and there was a terrifying divine power flowing within them. Ling Xiao recognized that those gems were high-grade divine stones. They were incomparably precious. He did not expect that they would set up a killing array to deal with him. Rumble. A terrifying divine light burst out, causing the entire sky to blur. The turbulence in the void surged and instantly annihilated Ling Xiao. Even if he's not dead, he should be severely injured, right? The general riding on the sky tyrant tiger said slowly. His eyes flashed sharply. Those high-grade divine stones were incomparably precious. Moreover, they were infused with powerful divine power. At this moment, when they exploded, they were like one-time offensive treasures. They were extremely powerful and could even kill a true god. However, Ling Xiao was too powerful. He felt that he might not be able to kill Ling Xiao, but it would be good if he could severely injure Ling Xiao. Swoosh. However, at this moment, a dazzling golden light burst out from the divine light storm and rushed towards the general of the divine kingdom of Sky Tyrant. It was a dazzling fist print. It was unparalleled, and it was surrounded by a vast dragon's aura. This caused the general of the divine kingdom of Sky Tyrant to turn pale. Without thinking, a huge saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed it towards Ling Xiao. At the same time, his mount, the tyrannical Sky Tiger, let out a roar that shook the heavens and earth. Suddenly, the powerful sound wave was like a transparent ball of yuan qi that blasted towards Ling Xiao. Boom! Ling Xiao's gaze was cold. His fist imprint was vast and unparalleled. It directly shattered that ball of origin qi light, and then collided with that huge saber aura. The general of the divine kingdom of Sky Tyrant's expression changed. He felt an unparalleled force coming towards him. With a crisp sound, the divine weapon saber in his hand was suddenly shattered by Ling Xiao. The divine weapon saber shattered into countless pieces like a storm. In an instant, it shot towards the general and turned him into a hedgehog. Ling Xiao's terrifying fist print also landed, as if it wanted to kill him. Roar! At this moment, the Sky Tyrant tiger roared and rushed towards Ling Xiao. Its blood seemed to be burning as it stood in front of the general. Boom! Although the 8 Sky Tyrant tigers were strong, they couldn't withstand Ling Xiao's fist and were directly blasted into a bloody mist. Tiger's might! The general of the divine kingdom of Sky Tyrant roared, his eyes instantly turning bloodshot. Tiger's might had followed him for countless years. It was his most loyal friend and mount. They had gone through countless battles together. He didn't expect it to die in the end to save him. What a loyal mount! However, it's a pity that you have offended me. You still have to die. Ling Xiao was slightly surprised. However, when he looked at the general of the divine kingdom of Sky Tyrant, his eyes were still filled with cold killing intent. The 5 real gods' eyes were filled with anger and fear. Their expressions were ugly. Other than the old woman from Taishang Palace, the other 4 real gods had all been severely injured by Ling Xiao. Before descending to the war god's world, they had never thought that the ants in this world could threaten their existence. However, Ling Xiao had completely awakened them. Ling Xiao, stop it. Don't you care about Jin Sei's life? If you dare to attack again, I'll kill Jin Sei. The old woman from the Supreme Dao Palace's eyes flashed as she spoke indifferently. Her most important mission was to obtain the wordless heavenly book. Although Jin Sei's talent was unparalleled, and was most suitable to cultivate the martial arts of the Supreme Dao Palace, sacrificing a genius disciple of the Supreme Dao Palace was nothing compared to the wordless heavenly book. Moreover, if this continued, she would die in Ling Xiao's hands. You dare to threaten me? Chapter 1176. That's right. We are threatening you. Ling Xiao, hand over the wordless heavenly book now, or you will never see your little lover again. Hong Tianzhao sneered, his eyes filled with cold killing intent. He hated Ling Xiao the most, and wanted the wordless heavenly book and the Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance the most. In the Divine World's War God Temple, there were 9 Hall Masters, and the Scarlet Dragon War God was one of the 9 Hall Masters. Therefore, Hong Tianzhao wanted to inherit the Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance, and become one of the 9 Hall Masters in one fell swoop. At that time, relying on the resources of the War God Temple, even reaching the Sage Realm wouldn't be impossible. Ling Xiao had stolen the wordless heavenly book and the Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance, so Ling Xiao must die. Ling Xiao, I promise that as long as you hand over the wordless heavenly book, I will not harm Jin Sei, and I will do my best to save her. You must know that the 7 soul dispersing light's poison has already entered her primordial spirit. Other than the elders of the Supreme Dao Palace, no one can save her. The old lady of the Supreme Dao Palace did not want to push Ling Xiao too far, so her voice softened. Despicable. What bullshit, people from the divine world. Why weren't you around when Demon God King Bo Sun and the other demon gods massacred the world? Why did you choose to come out now? That's right. The wordless heavenly book can only belong to my big brother. My big brother is destined by the heavens. You scum are not worthy of the wordless heavenly book. I advise you to hand over Jin Sei, or else if you anger my cousin, the Supreme Dao Palace and the War God Temple will all be slaughtered. The old goat, the white dragon horse and Long Outyen, these 3 shameless fellows, were filled with righteous indignation and rage. They pointed at Hong Tianzhao and the old woman from the Taishang Taoist palace and cursed loudly. Ling Xiao clenched his fist. The killing intent in his eyes was almost tangible. However, the old lady of the Supreme Dao Palace used Jinsei's life to threaten him. He did not dare to gamble with Jinsei's life. Ling Xiao, are you going to hand it over or not? Jinsei is willing to sacrifice her life for you. Could it be that the wordless heavenly book is more important to you than her life? Hong Tianzhao sneered, thinking that he had grasped Ling Xiao's weakness. And Jinsei was indeed Ling Xiao's lifeline. Ling Xiao's fingernails dug into his palms, dripping blood. He stared at Hong Tianzhao and the old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace and said through gritted teeth, "Fine. I can give you the wordless heavenly book, but you must give me the Jinsei." The old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace frowned and said, "Ling Xiao, the poison of Jin's seven soul-dispersing light has penetrated deep into her soul. You can't save her at all." "Don't worry. I promise that as long as you hand over the wordless heavenly book, I will definitely cure her." "Old dog, your promise is nothing. My patience is limited. Listen up. Either you give me the wordless heavenly book in exchange for the Jinsei. Either you kill Jinsei, or I'll kill you all." Ling Xiao's eyes were bloodshot and filled with burning killing intent. There was a trace of madness in his voice. The old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace's face turned ashen, and a trace of resentment appeared in her eyes. However, she also knew that she had pushed Ling Xiao to the limit. If she didn't agree, Ling Xiao would really go berserk. Hong Tianzhao and the others' faces were also extremely ugly. However, they also saw that Ling Xiao's condition was not right. They didn't dare to continue provoking Ling Xiao, and chose to keep quiet. "Fine. I can give you the Jinsei, but you have to hand over the wordless heavenly book first, and then remove the connection between you and the book. Remember, don't play any tricks." The old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace had no choice but to agree. After all, the Jinsei was not as important as the wordless heavenly book. "Fine." Ling Xiao did not hesitate at all and immediately agreed. Buzz. The wordless heavenly book shone brightly and flew out from between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. It exuded an ancient and mysterious light, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. The fluctuation of its aura made everyone tremble uncontrollably. It really is the wordless heavenly book. The eyes of the old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace, Hong Tianzhao, and the others suddenly lit up and their bodies trembled. Although they had never seen the wordless heavenly book before, they could feel the vast and mysterious aura of the wordless heavenly book. They immediately knew that it was the wordless heavenly book. "Quickly remove the connection between you and the wordless heavenly book." Hong Tianzhao yelled impatiently. Ling Xiao's gaze was cold, and there was a hint of mockery in his eyes. He instantly grabbed at the void, and the imprint of his primordial spirit on the wordless heavenly book shattered. After that, all traces of Ling Xiao were erased. Buzz. The wordless heavenly book turned into an ancient jade book and slowly floated into Ling Xiao's palm. "Now hand over the Jinsei, and the wordless heavenly book is yours," Ling Xiao said indifferently, and his voice was bone-chilling. "Fine." The old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace was helpless. Although she was 100% unwilling to hand over the Jinsei, she had no other choice. She waved her sleeves and suddenly there was a flash of light. Her red dress fluttered and the unconscious Jinsei floated in the void. Ling Xiao's heart trembled. Seeing Jinsei's pale face and weak aura, he felt a piercing pain in his heart. "Fine. We'll trade at the same time." The old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace nodded helplessly. She used her divine power to lift the Jinsei and flew towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao also lifted the wordless heavenly book and flew towards them. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths as they watched the trade nervously. The eyes of Hong Tianzhao and the others flashed with murderous intent. They all wanted to take back the wordless heavenly book in Jinsei, but they were also afraid of angering Ling Xiao. If Ling Xiao was determined to kill them, it would be extremely troublesome. In the end, no one dared to act rashly. Jinsei flew a few thousand feet and arrived in front of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao quickly caught her, and his eyes were filled with worry as he began to check on her injuries. The wordless heavenly book was also instantly caught by the old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace. However, When Ling Xiao saw the situation in Jin Sei's body, his eyes flashed with monstrous anger. The Taishang emotion water had indeed neutralized most of the seven soul-dissipating light's poison, but it also formed a seal that completely sealed Jin Sei's primordial spirit. This was naturally the work of the old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace. In other words, she could still control Jin Sei's life and death. You're courting death. Chapter 1177. Ling Xiao, Jin's possesses the regal sword intent, and is most suited to cultivate the martial arts of the regal Dao Palace. As long as she joins the regal Dao Palace, she will instantly become a genius disciple of the regal Dao Palace. If we focus on nurturing her, it will be easy for her to become a saint in the future. I'm doing this for her own good. Don't ruin her future. The old woman from the regal Dao Palace said flatly, "Ha ha ha, for Jin's own good? For her own good. You would use her life to threaten me? If anything happens to Jin's, I will definitely annihilate the regal Dao Palace and leave no one alive." Ling Xiao's voice was filled with murderous intent. However, he couldn't be bothered to deal with the people from the regal Dao Palace. He sat down cross-legged and used the power of the heaven-devouring secret technique to break the seal on Jin's consciousness. Ling Xiao, don't waste your time. With your strength, you can't break the seal on Jin's body. I advise you to hand her over to me. Only the regal Dao Palace can heal her completely. The old woman from the regal Dao Palace said flatly, "Kill that old dog." Ling Xiao didn't even lift his head. He was still healing Jin's, but he spat out a few words that were chilling to the bone. The old woman from the regal Dao Palace's expression changed. At that moment, she suddenly felt a cold murderous intent enveloping her. The source of that murderous intent was the wordless heavenly book. Whoosh! A figure shrouded in black demonic light suddenly rushed out of the wordless heavenly book. Demonic chi rose around him and his eyes were cold and cruel. He threw a punch at the old woman from the regal Dao Palace. "You're Ling Xiao? How is this possible?" The old woman from the regal Dao Palace shrieked, her eyes filled with disbelief. Who else could the figure in front of her be but Ling Xiao, who was covered in demonic chi and seemed to have walked out of the darkness? But why would Ling Xiao appear in the wordless heavenly book? They had clearly seen Ling Xiao erase all the primordial spirit imprints on the wordless heavenly book. However, she didn't have time to think about it. The fist filled with demonic chi was already in front of her. Rumble! Divine power rose around the old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace. She felt a cold killing intent from the fist in front of her. Without thinking, she twisted her walking stick and split it into two, turning it into two ancient swords that stabbed toward Ling Xiao. This Ling Xiao with overflowing demonic aura was naturally Ling Xiao's doppelganger, formed from the demonic bone. Furthermore, he had refined the primordial spirit and flesh of Bo Sun Demon God King, so his true strength was probably even greater than Ling Xiao's. Therefore, this punch was even more ferocious. It actually contained the power of the chaotic heavenly demonic art. It was extremely terrifying as it broke through the sword beams that filled the sky and slammed onto the two ancient swords. Crack! Resplendent light exploded and the old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace felt her arms go numb. An enormous force attacked her, and the two ancient swords were instantly sent flying. The fist of darkness that reached the clouds landed on the old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace. Boom! The old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace exploded. Her originally powerful divine body couldn't even withstand a single punch from darkness Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, I'll definitely kill you. The divine body of the old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace exploded completely and turned into a bloody mist. Her primordial spirit rushed out from within, her eyes filled with resentment as she glared at Ling Xiao and roared. Buzz! However, in the next moment, darkness Ling Xiao stepped forward and imprisoned her primordial spirit with one hand. Endless demonic light rose as if it would completely destroy her primordial spirit at any time. Original body, have you killed these four pieces of trash as well? Darkness Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of cruel killing intent as he said faintly. Hong Tianjiao, the Gold Clan, the Sky-Devouring Sect, and the Sky Tyrant Divine Kingdom's true gods instantly changed their expressions. They felt their bodies trembling as darkness Ling Xiao stared at them. Ling Xiao, you're from the demon clan. You deserve to die 10,000 times for your sins. Hong Tianzhao's eyes were filled with horror as he roared in a threatening manner. Darkness. Ling Xiao's body was overflowing with demonic aura. It was the purest demonic Dao origin energy, so how could Hong Tianzhao not recognize it? Hehe, you really don't know what's good for you. So what if you're a god? So what if you're a demon? If you can't transcend, you'll be nothing but ants. You've offended my original body, so all of you can go to hell. Darkness. Ling Xiao's eyes seemed to shoot out two beams of demonic light that contained cold, dark, and merciless fluctuations. He laughed coldly and instantly charged toward Hong Tianzhao and the other three true gods. Rumble. The dark fist print covered all four corners of the sky. The textless heavenly book was also used by Darkness. Ling Xiao. It floated in the sky and turned into beams of divine light, forming a prison of heaven and earth. Instantly, it enveloped Hong Tianzhao and the other three true gods. Darkness. Ling Xiao was not only powerful, but his methods were also more ruthless than Darkness. Ling Xiao's original body. His first move was a killing move, and he wanted to completely destroy Hong Tianzhao and the other three true gods. The primordial spirit of the old woman from the Taishang Dao Palace had been completely imprisoned. She couldn't escape even if she wanted to, and she was on the verge of despair. Damn it! Hong Tianzhao and the other three true gods' eyes were ghastly. They unleashed their terrifying divine power and charged toward Darkness. Ling Xiao. Boom! The textless heavenly book contained a mysterious and vast power. In the prison of heaven and earth, it was as though all the power of law had been stripped away. Hong Tianzhao and the other three true gods were horrified to find that they seemed to have been stripped of their connection with heaven and earth. Bang! Darkness. Ling Xiao's eyes were cruel. He threw out a punch, and the blazing fist print covered all four corners of the sky. The true god from the devouring sky sect couldn't dodge in time, and was blown up by Darkness. Ling Xiao's punch. Dark demonic aura rose, and the primordial spirit of the devouring sky sect true god was also suppressed by Darkness. Ling Xiao. The two true gods from the Gold Clan and Sky Tyrant Divine Kingdom were already severely injured. Now that they had been stripped of their power of law, they became extremely weak. Soon, their physical bodies were destroyed by Darkness. Ling Xiao and their primordial spirits were suppressed. In the blink of an eye, only Hong Tianzhao was left among the six true gods. Bastard, you forced me to do this. All of you have to die. Hong Tianzhao's eyes were filled with hatred as he stared at Darkness. Ling Xiao and roared. Rumble. Divine light rose from his body and his blood chi surged. An ancient rune exploded in his hand. Above the 9 heavens, a mysterious door seemed to open. Endless divine light sprinkled down, and a mysterious figure seemed to have descended from it. The figure was shrouded in endless light, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. However, one could vaguely see that he was an old man. He was majestic and mysterious, and he exuded a terrifying energy fluctuation. Old ancestor, please kill him and bring back the textless heavenly book. Chapter 1178. Darkness. Ling Xiao, and the others' expressions instantly turned serious. This figure's aura was extremely terrifying, even more powerful than demon god King Bo Sun. However, his aura was extremely obscure, as though he was separated by endless time and space, repelled by the mysterious laws of heaven and earth, as though he would be annihilated and disappear at any time. Ling Xiao could sense that the old man's aura was extremely similar to Hong Tianzhao's. He should also be a big shot of the War God Temple. However, he didn't expect that big shot to be able to send a projection clone to the War God world, even though it didn't look like he could stay for long. Wordless heavenly book? The figure's eyes were like divine lamps, blazing and dazzling. When he saw the wordless heavenly book, he revealed an extremely passionate expression. Whoosh! A towering hand grabbed at the wordless heavenly book, containing an extremely terrifying power that was impossible to resist. Who dares? Darkness. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of madness. Demonic light rose from his body, and he instantly soared into the sky. Then he controlled the wordless heavenly book and slammed it against the huge hand. Demon race ant, you're courting death. A dignified and old voice rang out like thunder from the 9 heavens. That huge hand slammed onto the wordless heavenly book and darkness Ling Xiao. Rumble. The wordless heavenly book trembled violently and neutralized most of the power. However, darkness Ling Xiao was still struck by lightning and was sent flying a few hundred feet. That huge hand instantly grabbed the wordless heavenly book. Unparalleled divine power surged as though it was going to forcibly refine the wordless heavenly book. At this moment, in the northern sky, endless black divine light surged. A towering pillar of divine light swept across the sky and smashed down on that huge hand. Whoosh! At the same time, the sky in the south was also torn apart. An extremely pale palm that looked slender and translucent like a woman's palm also slammed toward the projection avatar. You're courting death. The projection clone summoned by Hong Tianzhao seemed to be completely enraged. Divine light rose from his body. He grabbed the wordless heavenly book with one hand and slammed down with the other, shattering the pillar of divine light in the northern sky. At the same time, he collided with the palm in the southern sky. Bang! Heaven and earth seemed to be about to explode as endless storms swept out in all directions. What? My war god world actually has such a terrifying expert? Everyone was shocked, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. At the same time, they were somewhat excited. The black divine light in the north surged, and an old man in a shabby robe stepped out. He looked very old, but his eyes were as deep as the sea. In the southern sky, there was also a lady in white. She had a peerless temperament, but her body was shrouded in an endless deathly aura. She was like a netherworld empress who had walked out from hell. Dark Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as the three kings clashed. He instantly activated the wordless heavenly book and snatched it back from the old voice. It's actually the confused old man and the king of death soul? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, revealing a trace of surprise. He had never thought that he would know these two people. The old man in tattered Daoist robes was actually the confused old man that Ling Xiao had met in the Eight Desolates region. After so many years, the confused old man no longer looked confused. His entire body emitted a powerful aura that was incomparably vast. However, only the doppelgangers of the confused old man and the king of death soul had arrived. The old man did not have time to respond to Dark Ling Xiao. His eyes instantly fell on the confused old man and the king of death soul. King Xuanwu and the king of death soul? You're still alive? The old voice rang in the void, with a look of disbelief and even a trace of fear. King Xuanwu? Could it be the confused old man? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Thunder King, the wordless heavenly book is not a treasure that you can covet. You'd better leave. Otherwise, don't blame us for leaving your doppelganger behind. The king of death soul's indifferent and ethereal voice rang slowly in the void. You also want to stop me? Ahaha. I'd like to see how much combat strength you have after struggling at death's door for millions of years in the mortal world. That old voice sounded, carrying with it an endless amount of arrogance. Rumble. Hong Tianzhao's ancestor, the Thunder King that the king of death soul had mentioned, was surrounded by lightning. He was like an invincible thunder god that controlled the heavens and the earth. He charged toward the king Xuanwu and the king of death soul. The three doppelgangers fought in the 9 heavens, destroying the surrounding sky. Soon, they left the god of war's realm and entered the endless turbulence of the void. King Xuanwu and the king of death soul are still alive? I wonder who will win the battle between the doppelgangers of the three kings. Zhu Gonglie's eyes revealed a trace of amazement as he spoke slowly. Who are the king Xuanwu, the king of death soul, and the Thunder King? Do you know? Dark Ling Xiao landed beside Zhu Ganglai and asked flatly. When Zhu Ganglai saw Dark Ling Xiao, he immediately replied respectfully, Master, the king Xuanwu and the king of death soul are said to be kings from the demon world and the world of death soul. They seem to have participated in the catastrophe millions of years ago, but for some reason, they seem to have chosen to remain neutral. The king Xuanwu is said to be a sacred beast. The king of death soul is even more mysterious. As for the king of thunder, he should be the king of the god of war's realm. He seems to be the deputy hall master of the Thunder Hall. He is extremely powerful. Zhu Ganglai honestly told him everything he knew. He knew that Dark Ling Xiao was Ling Xiao's doppelganger, and his methods seemed to be even more ruthless. He should have inherited Ling Xiao's dark side, which was extremely bloodthirsty. Kings from the demon world and the world of Death Soul? Dark Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He knew that although the divine realm was the center of the universe, the greater thousand worlds like the demon world, the devil world, and the world of death were as vast as the divine realm. There were also many experts. However, he did not know why they came to the God of War's realm. Could it be for the wordless heavenly book? But they seemed to be helping Ling Xiao. Dark Ling Xiao pondered slowly. He did not understand. When Hong Tianzhao saw that his old ancestor, King Xuanwu, and the King of Death Soul had left at the same time, he was dumbfounded and wanted to escape without thinking. Want to leave? You'd better stay here. Dark Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a trace of ruthless killing intent, and he instantly charged toward Hong Tianzhao. Ling Xiao, if you dare to kill me, the old ancestor will not let you go. You will definitely die. Hong Tianzhao's body shook, and there was a trace of fear in his eyes. However, he still threatened Dark Ling Xiao fiercely. Dark Ling Xiao sneered and did not care about Hong Tianzhao's threat. He held the invincible fist print and charged toward Hong Tianzhao with monstrous demonic qi. The King of Thunder could not even protect himself. How could he care about this? Hong Tianzhao was already severely injured by Dark Ling Xiao. Now that he was in despair, how could he be a match for Dark Ling Xiao? Soon, Dark Ling Xiao shattered his divine body and imprisoned his primordial spirit. At this point, the 6 true gods were all killed by Ling Xiao. Chapter 1179. In the heavenly devil ancient land. The void trembled and chaotic mist filled the air. There were severed limbs everywhere, and the smell of blood was extremely thick. The surroundings were like the scene of Azura hell, indicating that a fierce battle had just taken place. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao in the sky with a fanatical and reverent expression. The devil race was annihilated, demon god King Bo Sun was killed by Ling Xiao, and even the true gods of the divine world were all killed by Ling Xiao. Dark Ling Xiao nodded at Ling Xiao, and instantly turned into a black divine light, and flew into the wordless heavenly book. Then the wordless heavenly book flew towards Ling Xiao, and under Ling Xiao's control, it began to enter Jin Sei's sea of consciousness to remove the poison of the 7 soul-dispersing light. Dark Ling Xiao obtained the primordial spirits, godheads, and flesh of the 9 true gods, and was about to devour them to increase his cultivation, as well as to obtain some memories from the primordial spirits of the true gods. Dark Ling Xiao, as the doppelganger of the origin demon bone, had the highest talent of the devil Dao. Ling Xiao had already planned to let Dark Ling Xiao enter the devil world. At that time, with Dark Ling Xiao's peerless talent, he would be able to grow rapidly and become a giant of the devil Dao. With Dark Ling Xiao had an extra life and an escape route. At this moment, the wordless heavenly book, after devouring the primordial spirit of demon god King Bo Sun, seemed to have received a great supplement, and actually manifested a secret technique. However, Ling Xiao didn't have time to accept the inheritance of the secret technique, as he wanted to heal Jin Sei. With the addition of the wordless heavenly book, the sealing power of the supreme emotion water in Jin Sei's sea of consciousness was quickly devoured. Moreover, the wordless heavenly book now had a few more mysterious effects, and even the 7 soul-dispersing light that invaded Jin Sei's primordial spirit was also devoured by the wordless heavenly book. However, Ling Xiao didn't know why Jin Sei was still unconscious and couldn't wake up at all. Ling Xiao felt that there seemed to be a mysterious power awakening in Jin Sei's primordial spirit, and it was connected to Jin Sei's bloodline. It was ancient and vast, and Ling Xiao found it hard to understand. "Young master, is Sister Jin Sei all right?" Seeing Ling Xiao wake up, Shuewei asked worriedly. "I don't know. She's still unconscious, and I don't know when she'll wake up." Even the wordless heavenly book couldn't wake Jin Sei up completely. Ling Xiao was at a loss of what to do. "Young master, don't worry. Since Sister Jin Sei's 7-soul dissipating soul light has been cured, she will definitely wake up." Shuewei consoled Ling Xiao. "I hope so." Ling Xiao laughed bitterly. His eyes were still filled with worry. "Master, why don't you let Lord Xuanwu and Lord Death Spirit take a look? Maybe they can wake Mistress up." Zhu Ganglai reminded him. Let the Black Tortoise King and the Death Spirit King have a look? All right. Ling Xiao nodded, but he didn't have too much hope. Bo Sun Demon God King's strength was unparalleled. In Ling Xiao's opinion, he might even surpass Black Tortoise King and Death Spirit King. Perhaps, the God Monarch will have a solution. Ling Xiao suddenly thought of something, and his eyes lit up. In Ling Xiao's opinion, the mysterious God Monarch of Kunwu Holy Mountain was extremely powerful. He might even be stronger than Bo Sun Demon God King. Perhaps he could help wake Jin Se up. Ling Xiao had secretly decided that once this matter was over, he would immediately bring Jin Se to Kunwu Holy Mountain. Ling Xiao, the demon race has been destroyed. I'll take my leave first. Remember, there will be a battle between us. I, Zhao Ritian, will not lose to you. Zhao Ritian looked at Ling Xiao proudly and prepared to leave. Thank you so much for this time. Ling Xiao didn't mind Zhao Ritian's attitude. Instead, he smiled seriously. Don't give me that. I'm not helping you. I just can't stand those demon race bastards. All right, I'm leaving. Take care of yourself. Zhao Ritian pursed his lips, then turned around and stepped onto the void golden eye beast. He then turned into a golden ray of light and shot into the distance. This time, Zhao Ritian and Shui Wei played a crucial role. At least half of the demon race's hundreds of demon gods died in their hands. Zhao Ritian had the saint body of the sun. After breaking through to the divine spirit realm, his strength was extremely terrifying. In addition, the divine fire of the sun was the bane of the demon race. There was nothing it couldn't burn, and the demon race experts were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. Shui Wei had the saint body of reincarnation. After coming out of seclusion, she should have received the inheritance of the first saint lady of reincarnation. Her strength was also extremely terrifying. In addition to the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation sword, ordinary demon gods couldn't even take one hit from her. As for the 9 ancient demons brought by the old goat, and the 3 great Taoists brought by Taoist Wuliang, their strength was only average. Although they didn't die in this battle, they were all severely injured. They quickly bid farewell to Ling Xiao. The experts from the longevity sect began to clean up the battlefield. Ling Xiao bowed deeply to Dugu Qiubai and said solemnly, "Thank you for your help, senior." Dugu Qiubai's swordsmanship was unparalleled in the world. It even contained the supreme power of the divine path. The scene of him killing demon god King Bo Sun in 3 strikes had shocked everyone. Whether it was killing demon god King Bo Sun or his identity as the strongest person in the war god continent hundreds of thousands of years ago, he deserved Ling Xiao's bow. In the millions of years of history of the war god continent, Dugu Qiubai represented the pinnacle of the supreme way of the sword. Countless sword cultivators worshipped him. The 3 great sword techniques that were passed down until now were passed down by Dugu Qiubai. You're welcome. Speaking of which, I still have to thank you. If you didn't bring me out of the time cave, I'm afraid I would still be in a daze. I don't know when I would be able to unlock my sealed memories. Dugu Qiubai said with a faint smile. Oh, why do you say that? Ling Xiao asked in surprise. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, my cultivation had reached the pinnacle of the human Tao. Unfortunately, the gate of the divine realm was closed, and the path of the divine Tao was cut off. I couldn't find the opportunity to become a god in all the worlds. It wasn't like now, where the divine Tao laws in the 8 great forbidden lands have been revived, and I have the opportunity to become a god. That's why I placed my primordial spirit in the longevity grass to extend my lifespan and sealed it in the time cave. Fortunately, you brought me out of the time cave. Under the epiphany tree, I was able to break through the seal and break through to the divine spirit realm. Dugu Qiubai said slowly. Ling Xiao finally understood that Dugu Qiubai had placed his primordial spirit in the longevity grass, and used the longevity grass to extend his lifespan until now. Under the epiphany tree's effect, he was able to break through the seal. Ling Xiao also recalled that he had seen Dugu Qiubai in the time temple. He had also made it to the 10th stage. It turned out that Dugu Qiubai wasn't a 9-severing genius, but a 10-severing genius. Chapter 1180. Now that the gate of the realm of God is about to open, Senior Dugu will definitely shine after entering the realm of gods. Ling Xiao sighed softly. I can feel that the gate of the realm of God has yet to open. The 6 true gods must have been sent down by the Almighty from the realm of gods at a great cost. It will take at least 100 years for the gate of the realm of God to open completely. Dugu Qiubai's eyes were deep as he looked into the endless void. There seemed to be a vast and mysterious world there. The realm of gods has yet to open completely? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had actually sensed this as well. It could be said that after breaking through to the godly state, one could almost feel the existence of the realm of gods. However, the realm of gods was illusory and could not be clearly felt. This meant that the realm of gods and the mortal world had yet to establish a connection. Ling Xiao finally felt the difficulty of obtaining the wordless heavenly book. The 6 forces behind the 6 true gods were all determined to get the wordless heavenly book. One could imagine that if Ling Xiao entered the realm of gods and people knew that he had the wordless heavenly book, he would be in big trouble. Everyone would want to kill him, and he would have no place to stand. Those big shots in the divine realm were all supreme experts who had eyes and hands everywhere. If they wanted to capture Ling Xiao, it would probably be as easy as blowing off dust. Ling Xiao felt a sense of danger in his heart. Soon King Black Tortoise and King Death Spirit returned and verified Dugu Qiubai's words. What made Ling Xiao feel relieved was that King Black Tortoise and King Death Spirit killed the projection of King Thunder's avatar, because it was rejected by the laws of the world. It will take 100 years for the gate of the realm of gods to open completely. The realm of gods must have paid a great price to send the 6 true gods this time. They might even have asked for help from the sages. It is unlikely that they will send any more deities in the near future. King Black Tortoise said with certainty. He seemed to be smiling. His hair and beard were all white, and he was very approachable. His eyes were as deep as the sea and he exuded a vast aura. On the other hand, King Death Spirit's eyes were cold, and he exuded a strong aura of death. Although he had a beautiful face, it was hard to look at him directly. Deities will not be able to descend within 100 years? Seniors, can you tell why Jinsei is still unable to wake up? Ling Xiao asked Lord Black Tortoise and Lord Death Spirit as his eyes flashed. He was actually poisoned by the 7 souls dispersing soul light. She also took the supreme emotion for getting water. Unfortunately, the supreme emotion for getting water was taken a little late. The 7 souls dispersing soul light had already entered her primordial spirit. Although it has been removed now, there is a mysterious change in her primordial spirit. Even I can't see through it. It's really strange. Black Tortoise King carefully examined Jinsei's primordial spirit and said in surprise. Although Ling Xiao had expected this, he was still a little disappointed. The power of reincarnation? The Lord of Death's soul suddenly spoke with a hint of surprise in his voice. The power of reincarnation? What does that mean? Ling Xiao hurriedly asked. The Lord of Death's soul looked carefully, then shook his head and said, the supreme emotion for getting water can cleanse the primordial spirit, but there is still a trace of the 7 souls dispersing soul light in her primordial spirit. Her lifespan was almost exhausted, but the trace of the 7 souls dispersing soul light made her primordial spirit come back from death. It's almost like reincarnation. As for what will happen, it's really hard to say. Ling Xiao's heart trembled, and he hurriedly asked, reincarnation? Is Jinsei still Jinsei? The Lord of Death's soul glanced at Ling Xiao, but the meaning in his eyes was obvious. Ling Xiao's heart sank slightly. However, he still had a glimmer of hope that the emperor might have a way. Ling Xiao, now that the gate of the divine realm is loose, we will return to the divine realm in a few days. Do you want to come with us? Black Tortoise King looked at Ling Xiao and asked. He was somewhat pretentious and wanted to help Ling Xiao. Return to the divine realm? Ling Xiao was a little surprised, but he immediately understood. The divine realm was the center of the universe, and it was the hub that led to the demon realm, devil realm and other higher realms. In the current war god world, if Black Tortoise King wanted to return to the demon realm, he would have to enter the divine realm first. However, Ling Xiao suddenly thought of something and asked slowly, Seniors, do you know about the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet? Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet? Could it be that you have obtained that treasure? However, the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet is a supreme treasure, At least 9 of them are needed to open the path to the divine realm. Black Tortoise King's eyes lit up as he asked slowly. That's right. This is the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet. Ling Xiao nodded, and with a flash of light, 9 Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablets appeared in his hands. They were surrounded by a mysterious chaos chi, and the light was resplendent, mysterious and ancient, emitting a vast aura and waves. Of these 9 Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablets, 1 was obtained from the Time Cave, 2 were given to him by Long-Browed Buddha, and 1 was given to him by Mu Tianji. The remaining 5 were obtained from Bo Sun Demon King after he killed him. According to the Emperor, the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet was a saint's treasure, and there were a total of 81 pieces. If one could gather all of them, it would have the power to destroy the heavens and earth, and the power to recreate chaos. You actually gathered all 9 Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablets? That's right. Through the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet, one can open the path to the divine realm. More importantly, the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet can conceal heaven's secrets, and those almighty beings in the divine realm will not be able to lock onto you. And you can enter the divine realm silently. Previously, I was still worried about offending that old fellow Thunder King, and how to hide from his senses. With the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet, that won't be a problem. Black Tortoise King said with a smile. That's right. The King of Death Spirit also nodded. Then how about the 2 seniors follow me to the divine realm? However, before that, I still have some matters to settle. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Black Tortoise King and Death Spirit King were 2 supreme experts, and they were at least in the divine king realm. If these 2 experts were to follow Ling Xiao, his safety would be greatly increased. No problem. Black Tortoise King and Death Spirit King both nodded in agreement. To them, this was a good thing. In the end, both parties agreed on half a year's time to meet at the Longevity Sect. Ling Xiao needed to use this time to settle the matters in the Divine War world. Death Spirit King left. Before Black Tortoise King left, he said to Ling Xiao with a smile. Ling Xiao, my disciple Su Meinyang, misses you greatly. If there's a chance, you can go to Green Hill to visit her. Su Meinyang. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a strange look as he suddenly thought of the little fox he met in the holy ground. He did not expect her to become Black Tortoise King's disciple. Chapter 1181. The incident in Heavenly Devil Ancient Land was finally over. Ling Xiao's reputation had reached its peak. He was praised by countless people for killing hundreds of millions of demons, especially Demon God King Bo Sun from 1,000,000 years ago, and saving the entire God of War's world. Regardless of whether they liked Ling Xiao or hated him, they were all in awe of Ling Xiao. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao, the entire God of War's world would have fallen into the hands of the demons. Dugu Qiubai's appearance had stirred up the entire God of War's world. Dugu Qiubai was a legend in the God of War's world. He was a peerless genius in swordsmanship, the most powerful man in the world hundreds of thousands of years ago. He had killed Demon God King Bo Sun's all transformations demon body with 3 strikes in Heavenly Devil Ancient Land. Dugu Longcheng, one of Ling Xiao's 7 disciples, and Dugu Shui of the Dugu family could be said to be Dugu Qiubai's descendant. Even the Sword God Pavilion had inherited Dugu Qiubai's legacy. They all came to visit Dugu Qiubai excitedly. It could be said that after the battle in Heavenly Devil Ancient Land, Ling Xiao and Dugu Qiubai's reputation had reached its peak. The descent of the 6 great true gods gave everyone hope. One after another, they worked hard to cultivate, wanting to ascend to the divine realm. Unfortunately, they didn't know that it would take more than 100 years for the door to the divine world to open. Ling Xiao brought everyone back to the Changsun sect. After the battle, Ling Xiao was completely relieved. The Changsun sect would undoubtedly become the #1 sanctuary in the God of War's world in the future. Although the 4 divine generals had died in the battle, the old goat and the moon god had inherited the martial skills of the demonic sage and the moon mother. After Ling Xiao attained the triple god realm, and completely refined the wordless heavenly book, a majestic torrent of information gushed out from Ling Xiao's consciousness. It's the memory and martial skills of the Scarlet Dragon War God? Ling Xiao was completely shocked. His eyes were filled with disbelief. At this point, Ling Xiao finally digested all the information and immediately understood the source of the information. Ling Xiao had once seen the remains of the Scarlet Dragon War God on the five-colored Sacred Mountain. At that time, a golden light had fused into Ling Xiao's body. However, no matter how hard Ling Xiao tried, he couldn't find a trace of that golden light. It wasn't until Ling Xiao reached the Three Gods realm that he finally understood that the golden light was the memories, experience, and martial arts inheritance left behind by the Scarlet Dragon War God. With regards to that great calamity a million years ago, Ling Xiao finally had a complete and detailed understanding. The Scarlet Dragon War God is actually one of the 9 hall masters of the War God Temple. No wonder Hong Tianzhao is so hostile towards me, Ling Xiao muttered to himself. According to the information left behind by the Scarlet Dragon War God, the War God Temple of the Divine World is a supreme holy land. It is divided into War Temple, Sky Temple, Earth Temple, Yin Temple, Yang Temple, Wind Temple, Thunder Temple, Fire Temple, and Mountain Temple. A total of 9 temples. Each temple master is a saint-level existence. According to convention, the temple master is also the master of the entire War God Temple. The Scarlet Dragon War God is the temple master of the War God. A million years ago, the original temple master of the Scarlet Dragon War God died violently. The position was hastily passed to the Scarlet Dragon War God. Coincidentally, the demon race opened the passage and invaded the heavens. Their real purpose was to find the wordless heavenly book. Scarlet Dragon War God wanted to hide from his enemies, but he also wanted to find Scarlet Dragon War God. So he came to the War God's realm. In the end, he found the wordless heavenly book in the War God's realm, and became the master of the wordless heavenly book. The Spirit Senior, Demon Saint, Moon Mother, and Buddha Lord were all good friends of the Scarlet Dragon War God. They also came from the divine world, and followed the Scarlet Dragon War God to conquer the demon race. After obtaining the Scarlet Dragon War God's memories, Ling Xiao could be said to have truly become the Scarlet Dragon War God's successor. He also understood many of the God Realm's secrets. However, after getting these memories, Ling Xiao had some doubts. Was the Scarlet Dragon War God really dead? At this moment, Ling Xiao had a thought. Maybe the Scarlet Dragon War God didn't die, but he didn't know why he left. After all, he got the wordless heavenly book and practiced an earth-shattering divine skill. His strength was terrifying and monstrous. The Scarlet Dragon War God couldn't die so easily. Or there were many things Ling Xiao didn't know, and those things could only be confirmed in the divine world. The wordless heavenly book swallowed Bosun Demon God King. This time, it was greatly nourished and showed a kind of secret skill. Earth Fiend 5th, Qilin's secret skill. Qilin's secret skill? In this way, the ancestral dragon, true phoenix, white tiger, black tortoise and Qilin, the legendary secret skills of the 5 sacred beasts. I have collected them all? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of light. He could faintly feel that these 5 secret skills seemed to have a very strange connection, as if the 5 elements were mutually reinforcing and restraining each other. They contained the power of the 5 elements. Moreover, Ling Xiao had a kind of enlightenment in his heart. Maybe he could use these 5 secret skills as a foundation to evolve the 5 elements heaven sealing style. The previous 4 elephants heaven striking style was already the beginning of a kind of peerless martial art to Ling Xiao. Turning these secret skills for his own use might be the most suitable path for Ling Xiao. After reaching the immortal state, Ling Xiao increasingly felt the vastness of the world. There was no end to the martial Dao. If he wanted to continuously break through, other than dabbling in hundreds of schools and learning from others, he also had to carve out his own path. The divine realm might not be obvious, but according to Ling Xiao's understanding, the real divine path was that almost every saint had their own path. As the saying goes, the 3,000 paths of the great Tao all lead to the same destination. Therefore, Ling Xiao wanted to use these martial arts to walk his own path. But now Ling Xiao didn't have time to comprehend the Qilin's secret skill. He had more important things to do. Dragon Horse, take me to see the Emperor. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said to the white dragon horse. Perhaps only the Emperor could solve Jin Sei's current situation. See the Emperor? But the Emperor may not be at Kunwu Mountain now. The white dragon horse rolled its eyes and said slowly, "Oh, then where is the old man?" Ling Xiao asked. The emperor's whereabouts are elusive. He often travels between worlds and rarely returns to Kunwu Mountain. If we go back, we can only try our luck. It's hard to say whether we can see the emperor or not. The white dragon horse said honestly, "No matter what, I have to give it a try." Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of determination. No matter what, he had to cure Jin Se. All right. The white dragon horse knew Ling Xiao's purpose. Surprisingly, it didn't fool around and obediently brought Ling Xiao through the void, leaving the God of War's world and heading towards Kunwu Mountain. Chapter 1182. Ling Xiao did not bring anyone with him. He left the God of War's world with his horse. The white dragon horse was extremely fast and could move the heavens. After leaving the God of War's world, they arrived at the antiquity relic in less than 2 days. Where did Kunwu's sacred mountain go? After entering the antiquity relic, Ling Xiao immediately felt that something was amiss. His eyes were filled with shock. The Kunwu sacred mountain, which was originally at the center of the antiquity relic, had disappeared. Kunwu sacred mountain is the emperor's home. It seems to be a magic treasure of the emperor. I'm not sure about the details. However, the emperor usually doesn't take Kunwu's sacred mountain with him when he leaves. I'm not sure why he took it away this time. The white dragon horse said honestly, "Kunwu's sacred mountain is not here. It seems that the emperor is not here either." Ling Xiao's face was filled with disappointment. His last hope was dashed. Buzz. However, at this moment, there was a flash of light in the void. A handsome middle-aged man in white appeared. He looked like a scholar in the mortal world. His features were delicate and his eyes were deep and gentle. It was as though there was a vast starry world in them. "Ling Xiao, you're here." A faint voice was heard. It was the emperor. "Greetings, emperor." Ling Xiao and the old goat were slightly taken aback. Their eyes were filled with surprise as they bowed to the emperor. "Emperor. No need for formalities. Seeing that you came here safely, Bo Sun must have been killed by you, right? Very good." The emperor looked at Ling Xiao and said flatly. There was a hint of approval in his eyes. "Senior Emperor, Bo Sun is dead. However, the realm of the gods coveted the wordless heavenly book and sent 6 true gods here. However, they were all killed by me. I'm here to ask you to help me awaken Jin Se." Ling Xiao roughly explained what had happened in the heavenly devil ancient land. Then he brought Jin Se out of the small world and looked at the emperor with hope. The 7 souls dispersing soul light went deep into the primordial spirit? You even took the sage emotion water? How foolish. Ling Xiao, if the 7 soul dissipating soul light hadn't entered my primordial spirit, it wouldn't have been a problem for me. But now, the 7 souls dispersing soul light and the supreme emotion for getting water have merged with her primordial spirit and become a part of her primordial spirit. This is going to be difficult. The celestial emperor inspected Jin Se's primordial spirit and sighed. "Senior monarch, is there really no other way?" Ling Xiao's face had also turned somewhat pale. "There is a way. Right now, Jin Se was only in a deep slumber. She would naturally wake up once her nascent spirit completely fused with the 7 soul dispersal light and the supreme emotion water. But even if she wakes up, I'm afraid her personality will change drastically. She'll forget about you and forget about you." The emperor looked at Ling Xiao and said slowly. "What?" Ling Xiao could not help but tremble when he heard the emperor say the same thing. His heart was filled with pain and regret. If he had brought Jin Se to the emperor earlier, this wouldn't have happened. But it's not like there's no other way. The emperor thought for a moment and said slowly, "Her primordial spirit has been cleansed and fused by the 7 souls dispersing soul light and the Taishang emotionless water. She has reached the legendary Taishang emotionless state. If she can enter the Taishang Dao Palace and cultivate the Taishang Dao scripture, she might be able to remember the past if she can see through the state of emotions." Supreme Dao scripture? But isn't the Supreme Dao Palace's purpose to be supreme emotion state? It upholds the heavenly principles, extinguishes human desires, and uses the heavenly heart to illuminate the human heart. Only by extinguishing emotions can one attain the Tao. I'm afraid the supreme emotion state is inconsistent with the supreme Tao Palace's purpose? Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. He had obtained the experience and memory of the Scarlet Dragon War God. Naturally, he had a certain understanding of the supreme Tao Palace in the divine world. The group of lunatics in the supreme Tao Palace pursued the supreme emotion state as their goal. They would not hesitate to kill everything and be heartless. Most of the disciples in the supreme Tao Palace were women. In order to pursue the supreme emotion state, many disciples did not hesitate to kill their husbands and children to pursue the supreme emotion state. Sentient beings and emotionless heaven and earth. Sentient beings and emotionless beings are one. How can you differentiate them so clearly? The current Taishang Tao Palace had taken the wrong path. Because the supreme emotion state is 10 times or 100 times more difficult than the supreme emotion state. Therefore, I suggest you send her to the supreme Tao Palace. The supreme Tao Palace will naturally be very concerned about such a natural talent. If you can impart the supreme Tao scripture, there is still hope for her to recover. This is the only way I can think of. The emperor said softly. After all, Jinsei's primordial spirit had undergone a mutation. After fusing with the 7-soul dispersal light and supreme emotion water, it was like going through reincarnation and rebirth. This process could be said to be irreversible. Cultivate the supreme Tao scripture? Thank you, Emperor. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed and he took a deep breath. It seemed like this was the only way. The old woman in the supreme Tao Palace was called Lu Ruyan. Fortunately, Ling Xiao did not kill her. He could completely control her and find a way to make Jinsei join the supreme Tao Palace. However, there were still many things that Ling Xiao had to consider. He could not act rashly. No need to thank me. Given the speed of her primordial spirit's mutation, she will definitely wake up in half a year or 2. However, when she wakes up, she will be ruthless and will be hostile to everything. You have to be careful not to hurt yourself. The emperor reminded. May I know where the emperor's real body went? Senior has helped me a lot. I am very grateful. Ling Xiao said seriously. He could see that the emperor in front of him was just a spirit clone. It was probably left here to wait for him. The emperor's real body was not here. There are some things that I need to do. You will be going to the realm of the gods soon, right? The gate to the realm of the gods will not open for 100 years. I will use some means to prevent the realm of the gods from sending people down. However, I suggest that if you enter the realm of the gods, you can choose to join the War God Temple. The emperor said slowly. Join the War God Temple? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Originally, he had killed Hong Tianzhao and offended the Thunder King. Even if he entered the realm of the gods, he did not intend to join the War God Temple. However, the emperor's suggestion did make him consider it. That's right. Since you have inherited the legacy of the Scarlet Dragon War God and obtained the wordless heavenly book, there are some missions that you must take on. Moreover, the War God Temple is not simple. They are extremely powerful. The Scarlet Dragon War God is the master of the War God Temple. You should inherit the mission of the Scarlet Dragon War God and become the master of the War God Temple. If you can control the War God Temple in the future, it will be greatly beneficial to you. Most importantly, the War God Temple has the heaven-battling secret art of the 12 sky arts. Chapter 1183. Heaven-battling secret technique? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He knew that the so-called 12 sky arts were the secret techniques from the 1st to the 12th. The War God Temple's heaven-battling secret technique was ranked 12th. The 12 sky arts were famous in the divine world. Other than the legendary Supreme Emperor scripture, the 12 sky arts were the best. Even the legendary Supreme Emperor scripture was born from the 12 sky arts. The 12 sky arts had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. The heaven-battling secret technique displayed the Tao of war to the extreme. Therefore, the disciples of the War God Temple were called battle maniacs by others. The genius disciples among them could even be said to be unrivaled existences within the same realm. Joining the War God Temple and becoming the War God Temple's master was indeed beneficial for Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao also knew that the Scarlet Dragon War God had many enemies in the War God Temple. At that time, the Scarlet Dragon War God was a divine king, and was forced to come down to the lower realm. Even if Ling Xiao joined the War God Temple, he would have to start as an ordinary disciple. Unless he was strong enough, he would not dare to reveal his identity as the Scarlet Dragon War God's disciple. You have obtained the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God, so you are now a disciple of the War God Temple. You have been branded with the mark of the War God Temple. Moreover, joining the War God Temple will only bring you benefits and no harm. Wait until you obtain the Heaven Battling Secret Technique. With the Heaven Battling Secret Technique as the foundation, you can gradually collect the 12 sky arts. Dijun's eyes flashed as he said slowly, "Good. Thank you, Senior. I will consider it." Ling Xiao nodded solemnly. "And work hard in your cultivation. The situation in the divine world is more complicated, and the challenges are greater. If you are not a saint, you will be an ant in the divine world. If fate wills it, we will meet again one day." Dijun smiled. Then his body flickered and he disappeared in front of Ling Xiao and the white dragon horse. "Let's go," Ling Xiao said to the white dragon horse with a glint in his eyes. Although he was a little disappointed this time, he still saw some hope. The Taishang Daoist scripture was the only way for Jin Sei to recover. If that was the only way, Ling Xiao could only choose to let Jin Sei join the Taishang Daoist palace. Ling Xiao became more and more curious about the emperor's identity. However, there was one thing that Ling Xiao was sure of, and that was that the imperial emperor didn't have any enmity towards him. Ling Xiao had obtained the Heavens Will secret technique of the second-ranked Heavenly Dipper. Although it was incomplete, and he had only cultivated a superficial part of it, Ling Xiao was able to use it to sense whether someone had good or bad intentions towards him. This feeling that came from the fate plane was the most realistic. Since the emperor was not hostile to him, he was even more confused about the emperor's origin and purpose. After all, the so-called inheritor of the wordless heavenly book was not necessarily worthy of the emperor's attention. When I have enough strength, I will naturally know all of this, Ling Xiao thought to himself. Unfortunately, in the memories and experiences left behind by the Scarlet Dragon War God, there was no information about the origin of the emperor. Ling Xiao and the White Dragon Horse returned to the War God's world. In the War God's world, after the battle in the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land, especially when they learned that the gate of the God's world had opened, all the warriors became more and more excited. It was as if a crazy tide and feast of cultivation had begun. Although the demon race's invasion this time was not as tragic as 10,000 years ago, a few holy lands of the martial Tao were still destroyed. Billions of people were plunged into misery and suffering. Ling Zhao's reputation in the War God continent had reached the peak after killing demon god King Bo Sun. The Longevity sect had also become the #1 holy land in the War God's world. Countless geniuses and experts worshipped Ling Xiao fervently and rushed to the 8 Desolates region. They wanted to enter the Longevity sect and become their disciple. Within the Longevity sect, many of the Longevity sect's disciples worshipped Ling Xiao to the extreme. They all worked hard to cultivate as if they had been injected with chicken blood. The cultivation environment in the Longevity sect was more than 10 times, or even 100 times better than the outside world. In such a cultivation sage realm, even a disciple with ordinary aptitude would have a rapid increase in cultivation speed. Not to mention, many of the Longevity sect's disciples were extremely talented. In the past, they were trapped in cultivation resources. But now that they were free of those constraints, they soared to the heavens. Just as Ling Xiao returned to the Longevity sect, an old friend of his came to the Longevity sect. "It's actually you, Ji Feishuan." Ling Zhao's eyes flashed and revealed an extremely strange expression. The white-clothed lady in front of him looked like her white clothes were fluttering in the wind. Her skin was like jade, and her appearance was elegant and refined. Her entire body exuded a peerless aura. She was very tall, and her figure was graceful. Her appearance was not inferior to the Phoenix Maiden or the Moon Goddess at all. In particular, she had the dignified aura of a ruler, which made people want to worship her involuntarily. This white-clothed lady was Ji Feishuan. the empress of the great mysterious ancient kingdom whom Ling Xiao had met before. However, what shocked Ling Xiao was that the current Ji Feishuan was extremely powerful. Her entire body exuded a powerful divine aura. Looking at her cultivation, she was actually a peerless expert of the true God realm. How was this possible? Ling Xiao was in disbelief. Could it be that Ji Feishuan was also an expert from the ancient times? What's wrong? Don't you recognize your old friend? Ji Feishuan smiled at Ling Xiao. Her beauty was unparalleled, and her smile was like a flower. Your Majesty, long time no see. I didn't expect your Majesty to have such an earth-shattering cultivation. It's really hard to believe. Ling Xiao said with a bitter smile. His eyes revealed a trace of surprise. How could he not see that Ji Feishuan was probably the same as Bai Wuliang, Zhongsu, and the others? They were all experts who had survived the battle 1,000,000 years ago. In other words, Ji Feishuan should be someone from the divine world. Ling Xiao, I've also heard about the battle at the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land. However, I've also just come out of seclusion. After comprehending the past, I unlocked the seal and recovered the cultivation of my previous life. Therefore, no one can help you. Ji Feishuan smiled gently, but there was a trace of apology in her eyes. You're welcome. Anyway, Demon God King Bo Sun has been killed. However, could it be that you want my wordless heavenly book like Bai Wuliang, Zhongsu, and Qi Kongjue? Ling Xiao said with a smile. However, a trace of vigilance and killing intent had already appeared in his heart. Although Ji Feishuan was an old friend of his, if Ji Feishuan was the same as Bai Wuliang and the others, then she couldn't blame him for secretly killing her. What if I really want the wordless heavenly book? Could it be that you really want to kill me? Ji Feishuan's eyes twinkled as she smiled gently. Why would I? After all, we're old friends. I won't kill you, but from now on, I can't let you go. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Haha, why are you so nervous? I'm lying. Although the wordless heavenly book is a legendary treasure, I'm not interested in it. This time, I'm looking for you for another matter. Chapter 1184. Oh, what's the matter? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat, but he still looked at Ji Feishuan and asked. He had already guessed Ji Feishuan's intention. I want you to escort me back to the great Zhou divine nation, Ji Feishuan said in a serious tone. Then she told him about her background. Ji Feishuan was the princess of the great Zhou divine nation, the daughter of the divine emperor. During the great calamity 1,000,000 years ago, the demon race invaded and many experts from the divine world came to the mortal world to kill the experts of the demon race and search for the wordless heavenly book. Ji Feishuan was one of them. However, she sneaked out and even the divine emperor of the great Zhou divine nation did not know about it. Unfortunately, she was also heavily injured during the great calamity 1,000,000 years ago. If it was not for the treasure given to her by the divine emperor to seal her primordial spirit, she would not have survived until now. Now that she understood the past, she naturally wanted to go back home. Why do you want me to send you back? Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. In terms of cultivation, Ji Feishuan was stronger than him. Although her strength was greatly reduced, she would be able to regain her peak strength as soon as she returned to the divine world. Therefore, Ling Xiao did not understand why Ji Feishuan wanted him to send her back. Ji Feishuan smiled and said, The Heavenly Dao Primal Chaos Tablet is a treasure in the divine world. With the power of the Heavenly Dao Primal Chaos Tablet, it can easily open the passage to the divine world. If I don't go with you, I'm afraid I'll have to wait for hundreds of years. Besides, I believe in you. Even Demon God King Bo Sun died in your hands. As the disciple of the Scarlet Dragon War God, you'll definitely be able to protect me. Moreover, I won't let you come here for nothing. Since you're the disciple of the Scarlet Dragon War God, and the inheritor of the wordless heavenly book, there's a secret mountain in the great Zhou divine nation. It's said that there's an earth-shattering supreme secret technique in there. If you can enter the secret mountain, I think you'll be able to obtain that secret technique. Secret mountain? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and showed a trace of interest. If the great Zhou divine nation really had a supreme secret technique, it was worth a trip. Until now, Every secret technique that Ling Xiao had obtained contained an incomparably magical power. Especially after Ling Xiao broke through to the Three Gods realm, he discovered that those secret techniques had only begun to truly display their heaven-defying divine power. However, even without the secret technique, Ling Xiao was still willing to send Ji Feishuan back to the great Zhou divine nation based on their friendship. That's right. Legend has it that although that secret technique is not one of the 12 sky arts, it is not much weaker than the 12 sky arts. It has the foundation to become a saint. Ji Feishuan smiled. Good. Since that's the case, why don't you come with me to the celestial realm? However, we might not be able to teleport you to the celestial realm in time, Ling Xiao said to Ji Feishuan. It's all right. As long as I can return to the great Zhou divine kingdom, I don't mind waiting a few more days after wasting 1,000,000 years in the lower realm, Ji Feishuan said. In the end, Ji Feishuan stayed in the longevity sect and waited to return to the divine world with Ling Xiao. In the following days, Ling Xiao went into seclusion. After reaching the Three Gods realm, Ling Xiao's cultivation had reached the peak of the mortal realm. If he wanted to continue breaking through, he would have to return to the God realm. Therefore, Ling Xiao went into seclusion to refine the 9 primal chaos tablets. Originally, with Ling Xiao's current cultivation, he would not be able to refine the primal chaos tablets completely. However, with the help of the wordless heavenly book, Ling Xiao was able to activate a trace of the primal chaos tablet's power. However, Ling Xiao also realized that it was impossible for him to activate the primal chaos tablets alone. He needed the Black Tortoise King and the Death Spirit King. Before the gate of the God realm was fully opened, it was a heaven-defying task to open a path to enter the God realm. Furthermore, Ling Xiao knew that he had to be more careful after entering the God realm. The secret technique of the wordless heavenly book could not be used in public. He had to change his appearance and disguise himself. No matter what, he could not expose the existence of the wordless heavenly book. At the same time, Ling Xiao planned to let Zhu Ganglai and Darkness Ling Xiao enter the devil world together. After all, Darkness Ling Xiao was formed from the origin demon bone. Only in the devil world would he be able to grow rapidly. Furthermore, it was also Ling Xiao's backup plan. Darkness Ling Xiao was a clone formed from half of Ling Xiao's primordial spirit and the origin demon bone. Now that Ling Xiao had complete control over it, he was able to ensure his subordinate status. As long as Ling Xiao's cultivation was not too far off from Darkness Ling Xiao's, there was basically no possibility of a backlash. The devil world could be said to be one of the greatest enemies of the God realm. There were countless experts and there were frequent battles with the God realm. Darkness Ling Xiao entering the devil world could be considered as a preemptive check on the current situation of the devil world. This time, Ling Xiao did not plan to bring too many people to the God realm. After all, if there were too many people, there was a high possibility that his identity would be exposed. In any case, the gate of the God realm would officially open in 100 years. At that time, as long as one had the cultivation of a titled honorable, they would be able to ascend to the God realm. Therefore, Ling Xiao only planned to bring Jin Se, Shuiwei, Old Goat, Daoist Wuliang, White Dragon Horse, Zhu Ganglai and Duga Qiubai. As for the others, it was a good thing for them to temporarily stay in the lower world for 100 years. Shuiwei had inherited the legacy of the first reincarnation saintess, and the first reincarnation saintess was a disciple of the reincarnation temple. Shuiwei had also mentioned to Ling Xiao that she wanted to enter the reincarnation temple. Old Goat wanted to return to the demon world with King Black Tortoise. After all, even though there were demons in the God realm, the demon world was the main base of the demons. Zhu Ganglai was naturally Darkness Ling Xiao's guide, and he would follow Darkness Ling Xiao to the devil world. Even though the God realm and the demon world were great enemies, the God realm was the center of the universe. There were many passages that led to the universe, and naturally, there were also passages that led to the demon world. As for Duga Qiubai, naturally, he wanted to test his sword against the world. Ling Xiao also believed that with his talent, he would be able to shine in the God realm sooner or later. Ling Xiao planned to strive for a certain amount of power to protect himself within the next 100 years. This would lay a good foundation for the future disciples of the Changsun sect to enter the God realm. Right now, the Changsun sect was flourishing with each passing day. With many experts holding the fort, and with the Changsun world as their main base, one could imagine how strong the Changsun sect would become in the next few decades. Even though Ling Xiao had left the God of War world, he could rest assured. Right now, there was no one in the God of War world that could threaten the Changsun sect. Regardless of whether it was the demon gods or the God realm experts of the various forbidden grounds, they were all killed. Ling Xiao did not show any mercy to them. The moon goddess and phoenix maiden originally wanted to head to the God realm, but they were persuaded by Ling Xiao to stay in the Changsun sect. After all, their cultivation was only in the supreme realm. It would be difficult for them to enter the God realm. It was better for them to stay in the Changsun sect to cultivate. Chapter 1185. Half a year later, Ling Xiao came out of seclusion. King Black Tortoise and King Death Spirit had also arrived at the Longevity sect. Especially when King Black Tortoise brought along an old friend of Ling Xiao, Nine-Tailed Fox Su Meinyang. Ling Xiao, long time no see. Su Meinyang smiled at Ling Xiao. At this moment, she had already cultivated to the supreme stage, and her bearing had become even more peerless. She was naturally charming, and every frown and smile of hers carried a charm that caused one's heart to sway. Her skin was as clear as jade and her figure was extremely hot. Her body was faintly discernible under the veil, causing one's blood to boil. Long time no see. Ling Xiao smiled. Su Meinyang had probably completely inherited the bloodline of the Nine-Tailed Fox. However, Ling Xiao did not expect her to become King Black Tortoise's disciple. It could be seen that the Nine-Tailed Fox clan and Black Tortoise clan had a good relationship. Su Meinyang looked at Xue Wei, who was beside Ling Xiao. Her eyes flickered as she started to size Xue Wei up. Xue Wei's appearance was not inferior to Su Meinyang. However, their temperaments were completely different. Xue Wei's white clothes fluttered in the wind. Her temperament was extraordinary, and she looked like a goddess from the 9 heavens. Su Meinyang naturally heard about the relationship between Ling Xiao and Xue Wei. After seeing Xue Wei's stunning appearance, she felt a little complicated. Ling Xiao, let us activate the Heavenly Tao Primal Chaos Tablet and open the path to the Divine World. King Black Tortoise's eyes were filled with excitement as he took a deep breath. Even the Frosty King of Death Spirit's eyes flickered a little. After spending millions of years in the mortal world, even though they were all God Kings, they still missed the Divine World dearly. To them, the Divine World was like a small pond. It was too oppressive. The vast Divine World was more suitable for them. All right. Ling Xiao took a deep breath as well. His eyes were filled with sharpness. Stepping into the Divine World was about to start a new journey. Ling Xiao finally understood what the Demon Saint had said. The Divine Spirit Realm was just the starting point. The future journey was in the vast Divine World and in the myriad worlds. Buzz. The space between Ling Xiao's eyebrows shone brightly. Darkness. Ling Xiao turned into a ray of light and stood beside him, nodding at him. This time, he used the Heavenly Tao Primal Chaos Tablet to open a path to the God World. Similarly, it was a path to the Devil World, Demon World and Death World. Everyone was looking forward to it. Rumble. 9 Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablets appeared above Ling Xiao's head in an instant. They were surrounded by primal chaos chi and shone brightly. They were incomparably mysterious and contained an ancient and profound fluctuation. Open. A sharp glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he pushed out with both palms. Instantly, the heaven and earth trembled as the 9 Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablets revolved around each other. Streams of mystical laws intertwined as divine chains of order pierced through the void. Above the 9 heavens, a mysterious light seemed to shine down. The sky trembled, and the clouds in all directions moved. Endless power of laws descended, making it seem as if a mysterious and vast world had been chosen above the 9 heavens. Ling Xiao's god power surged towards the 9 Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablets as though they were free. King Black Tortoise and King Death Spirit looked at each other and slapped out at the same time. The divine power in their bodies surged towards the Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablet. Boom. The 9 Heaven Tao Primal Chaos tablets shone brighter and brighter. Above the 9 heavens, the radiance was blazing. A mysterious passageway with 5 different colors appeared as though it was leading to a mysterious world. That passageway was ancient and mysterious. Everyone from Changsun sect couldn't help but shiver, as though they were about to kneel down and worship it. Father, Mother, I'm leaving. Take care of yourselves. I'll be waiting for you in Divine World. Ling Xiao looked at Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan as he smiled gently. Xiao, you have to take care. You have to be careful. Long Hanyan's eyes turned red instantly. Although she knew that this would be the outcome, she couldn't help but tear up. Long Hanyan hugged Ling Xiao, and her voice was choked with sobs. Xiao, you have to take care. Although Ling Zhen wasn't as emotional as Long Hanyan, the anticipation in his eyes made Ling Xiao's heart tremble. It was really good to be reborn with the love of parents. Not only Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan, but all the disciples of Changsun sect and Ling Xiao's old friends were also looking at him with reluctance and blessings. Patriarch devouring heaven, you have to take care. Master, wait for us to find you. Take care. Although everyone was reluctant and missed him, they were more filled with blessings and anticipation. Ascending to Divine World was a day to be proud of for the entire Changsun sect. The eyes of the Phoenix Lady and the Moon Goddess reddened slightly. They were even a little sad, but they were also filled with determination. They could finally face their own feelings, and decided to work hard in cultivation to catch up to Ling Xiao. As for Mu Linfeng and the other 7 disciples of Ling Xiao had originally planned to bring them to Divine World. However, he decided to leave them behind in the end. After all, with the 7 of them around, ordinary demon gods were no match for them. Moreover, King of Death Soul had told Ling Xiao that the 7 demons gourd was too powerful. They had not completely used the divine power in their bodies yet. If they were to head to Divine World now, they would be easy targets and would be captured easily. Moreover, the death aura and divine Tao law in the 1,000 Coffin Mountain could also increase their cultivation. Therefore, Ling Xiao listened to King of Death Soul's suggestion and left the 7 of them behind. We should go. King of Black Tortoise said softly. Ling Xiao nodded and looked deeply at the people from Changsun sect. His gaze swept past Ling Zhen, Long Hanyan, Phoenix Maiden, Moon Goddess, Long Outyan, Mu Linfeng, and the others. Finally, he turned around abruptly and soared into the sky. Dark Ling Xiao, King of Black Tortoise, King of Death Soul, Shuiwei, Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang, White Dragon Horse, Zhu Ganglai, Duguqiubai and Ji Feishuan followed closely behind Ling Xiao. They turned into divine rainbows and soared into the sky. This was a trip to the 4 seas and 8 wastelands. This was a trip that would not turn back no matter how difficult it was. This was a trip to the 10,000 worlds where they were the most powerful. This was a trip to the heavens where they could kill gods and demons. Rumble. Wind and thunder surged, and the clouds in the 4 seas moved. Bolts of lightning rose into the sky, and turned into the most brilliant rays of light. In the sky above the Changsun sect, everyone raised their heads to look at the resplendent light in the 9 heavens, as well as those mysterious figures. Their eyes were filled with fervent worship. In the sky, Ling Xiao and the rest disappeared into the mysterious tunnel. The 9 heavenly Tao primal chaos tablets trembled slightly, and shone with a dazzling light. They disappeared as well. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.